Okay, I am back. I took a nap and I am back. Make sure my sound is good. All right, let's get back into this craziness. After I am done with this, I am going to actually watch I'm gonna binge watch the Lindsay Clancy trial. And yeah.
Into the evidences that you have stated
Yeah.
on the record, which transcend elements of reason.
Why are we
in regards
having
to this
a
case.
transcendental conversation now? Because I mean,
Because
first,
they're all
because
related to this case.
It's not a transcendental conversation. It's a debate. I don't like, what about debating is transcendental?
your entire thing was about looking at the evidence, which never made sense to me, again, because all of the evidence that you felt to be overwhelming was hearsay. That was bizarre to me.
You told me that I could take as much time as I wanted to question you on
no,
these
but
things.
I'm just asking you just to lay the groundwork of what you're saying is
Because you've
problematic,
made
that
many,
you decide
many
that it trips
claims.
into
I'll
something
explain.
else. And I do still want to hold you for going through, because we've discussed the gun, we've discussed your...
and you can hold me to those things, but I
yeah.
would like to get into the
and
things
we
that
should
you've
discuss
said.
the screwdriver as well.
So, and I'll explain exactly what the groundwork is. When you make claims which pass the idea of I'm just asking questions because the state's evidence is not convincing, I think you have to answer for those claims because they are in regards to this case. You're saying, I have a claim. It is in regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is what we're talking about, not just the case of Charlie Kirk, his assassination. You should have to answer for the claims that you've made in regards to the assassination itself. You should. Yeah, agreed. So if that's the case, then I would like to finally dive into some of that evidence and dive into it.
Well, just to be clear, and I'm happy to have you talk about, like I said, publicly, you want to engage in some conspiracies, but I said I want to make sure that we get to the substance of our debate. The substance of our debate
is the major
is me demonstrating that all of the quote unquote evidence that you feel that you have, which demonstrates that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
You don't find convincing. I get it.
It's been invalidated by the testimony that we saw. And in your answer for when I explained to you that he had the most degraded prints was,
How on earth has all of that been invalidated? Like, what is she talking about? How on earth has all of that been invalidated? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, what is she talking about? It is evidence in a court case. It has not all been invalidated. That is literally, if it was all invalidated, it would be thrown out and he wouldn't be bound over for trial. It's just such a dumb thing to say. It's incredibly stupid.
Oh no. Okay. Well, there lies my ability to process that.
It's just fine for you to not be convinced up to this point. All of your viewers, everybody watching, nobody's
you're conceding.
Nobody's getting a dispute that if all your claims ever were just up to now, the evidence that the state's given, I'm just kind of not convinced. That is not what's been happening. What's actually been happening is that you've made tons of claims in regards to this case and in regards to the Kirk assassination, which are far above and beyond, I just doubt, the state's theory.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, sure. I do doubt the state's theory. I also am welcome to say what I think. You know, if you want to move into opinions, if you want to talk about Erica Kirk, if you want to talk about Turning Point USA,
I'd like to talk about all
and
of
get
it.
into
what on earth is going on? Like, this is the whole reason he wanted to debate her, and now she's acting like she's confused and she has no idea what he's talking about.
To it, I'm totally happy to do that, but I just want to say that, like, I do not feel, because I've said what's important to me is that we exhaust this topic first of our actual debate claims. I do not feel that you sufficiently have argued that the evidence is overwhelming.
Sorry, Candace, question for you.
But I am sorry you feel that way.
Candace, one question. What evidence do you need to see for you to say Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great question. So I actually expected in this preliminary hearing, actually, the inverse of what he was saying is true, right? So this is now the time the state is putting on their evidence. That's the purpose of this hearing, right? The state is using hearsay, but they're also putting on their evidence. So I was just expecting some sort of a slam dunk. Like, we got him on camera taking the shot. At least we have him clear on camera. You're telling me this guy drove...
They have him on camera taking the shot. They have him on camera taking the shot. Like, they actually have that. It's amazing. It's actually amazing that they actually have that. And she's, oh my God, I can't, you guys.
13 hours all around. Like, we can definitely show you a picture that it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt before we even get to the trial. People are going to see and go, oh crap, like it was really Tyler Robinson. I was expecting to at least see evidence that, because I had reported early on that the source was saying that Tyler did not step foot on campus that day. It is my perspective that he had something to do with something. I do believe he was disposing clothes at this stage, at this phase. I do believe he was disposing clothes. He was involved somehow. I find Lance to be more suspicious, if I'm being honest with you. And also, like I said, the use immunity that was given to Lance by the feds, the fact that the feds didn't ask him any questions, the fact that I spoke with Lance Twiggs' family, and they were like, it's very weird that the feds are not asking him more questions. He's exactly the person that I would imagine to be involved in some stuff. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. But when we got to the preliminary hearing, there was not a single piece of evidence that I felt was slam dunk. I was waiting for that, a photo. I mean, anything would have made me go, all right, I think this could be the guy. If they had
A photo. Anything. A photo. I mean, even just like one photo. They didn't have even a photo.
handed over the discovery on the text messages, since that was their big ta-da, we've got the text messages, that would be the first thing that I would hand over. But actually, who was holding them up, like I said, it wasn't the prosecution. They're right to say we were handing things over, and we heard the defense argue on behalf of the prosecution saying it's not them and it's not the SBI, it's the FBI that's holding on to things. Because the FBI took everything. The FBI took the gun, the FBI took initially the screwdriver. And then when I heard testimony about the things that they found that were suspicious, example being the backpack, that's something that really bothers me, that they say they traced the shooter, they traced the route that he went on, and then there was an abandoned, we know it looks like he's wearing some sort of a backpack. We know that there was an abandoned backpack found at the bus stop in front of a library, and they felt that this should be taken into evidence. They took it. The FBI.
All right. I have no idea what she's talking about, so I'm going to look this up. Okay. No, there was no credible reporting of an abandoned backpack belonging to the TPUSA team that authorities found by a bus stop and returned in the Tyler Robinson case. So here's what's been found. Robinson's own blue backpack, attendees' backpacks left in the chaos, prosecutor's family member's backpack. I wonder if this is what she's getting confused. Defense filings and related coverage note that an adult child of the Utah County prosecutor fled in panic and left a backpack behind in the amphitheater. Okay, but that wasn't at a bus stop. A handgun was found in a backpack at the scene, but nothing matching a TPUSA team backpack returned after being found at a bus stop. No major news coverage, court documents, or official statements from searches. Okay, so she just made that up, I guess.
This was the testimony of Amanda Baker, I believe her last name is, but you might want to fact check that because I think I'm blending last names. She was the forensics for the FBI. And then she says she gets a call on the 13th and they stop testing on this backpack because they find that the backpack actually belongs to somebody on Charlie's team. But if you know the map of the layout of the campus, you're going, well, what the hell are they doing all the way up? This is nowhere near anywhere. And by the way, that's not an acceptable answer.
Okay, I watched that entire hearing and I never heard any of this. So I have no idea where she's getting this from. Let me just double check. Yes, during the preliminary hearing in the Tyler Robinson case, there was testimony about a backpack that was initially processed and tested for DNA and then essentially set aside. Forensic FBI examiner Amanda Baker testified under questioning, including from the defense, that lab personnel received a backpack labeled as something like Exhibit 9, along with items from it. They initially processed those items for DNA because they lacked information at the time, and the items were suitable for testing. They had been told or assumed they might relate to things discarded by the suspect. As the investigation continued, it was determined that the backpack was potentially left behind by a bystander. It possibly belonging to Kirk's detailees or security detail. At that point, no comparisons were needed, and further testing comparisons related to it were not pursued. Okay, so there was a backpack they found on the scene, and then a separate handgun found in a backpack at the scene was also mentioned in investigator testimony, David Hall, but the testing then stopped. Details specifically match the DNA analysis account of the bystander backpack. Okay, that came out in the DNA testing. That's probably why I zoned out on that. But okay. Not a big deal. There were tons and tons of people there fleeing from a shooter and leaving backpacks everywhere.
Sir, for why you just gave it back. That's not that, like, why would you give it back? You're acting like no one's ever been killed by somebody on their team before, right? So I found that to be very strange that it was on the exact route that the alleged gunman ran, and that their excuse was, we just gave it back because we heard that this belonged to somebody on Charlie's team. So that to me is, this is why the investigation itself feels underwhelming. When you learn, and this is completely crazy to me, that some of the artifacts that Charlie was wearing were immediately returned to Erica. That's absurd. That is absurd. Everything should be in evidence. When you learn that the car that they carried Charlie in to go to the hospital, they had immediately towed, cleaned, and back up for resale, that's absurd. That should be sitting in evidence. And any police officer that you speak to will say, or person that's been involved in a crime will say, I didn't get my stuff back for years. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just around. And they kept it into evidence until the trial was over, and it has to be approved. I think somebody said by the attorney general has to sign off on giving you those objects back. And we were told this is all fine. And we see, and this is just one example, Erica holding the...
Yeah, if there is a crime where a person, like a body that, like, somebody kills their wife and then they put the body in the trunk, and then they dispose of the body, and there's an investigation. Maybe they haven't even arrested the person yet, but they want to hold on to that vehicle if they've taken it, because there could be anything they find in it. In this situation, it's different, which I guess people don't really quite understand. But Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It's not a big mystery as to what happened to him, to where you have to have all these pieces of evidence to figure it out. Right?
Crucifix. That should be in evidence. Irrespective of if you feel bad for her, I think she should have it and it's sweet. That should be in evidence. Immediately paving over the crime scene. Is this like the craziest thing ever? This like defies common sense. You immediately, and when you heard the guy who did it.
Okay, so this whole paving over the crime scene thing, they constantly bring up as if it negates every single thing of all the other evidence. In this case, it's an open area that you cannot protect from the elements, the weather, the sun, the blah, 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 people walking through it. What are you going to put officers there 24/7 for months and months and months? They came in, they worked like 3 or 4 days nonstop. They did everything they needed to do for the crime scene. They released it, and then the school fixed it up so that there wasn't biological material. And it was probably, you have a bunch of officers for days and days and days, like 30, 40, 50 officers walking all over this, pulling stuff up, doing stuff. It was probably way damaged, biological materials, etc. So they're going to fix it up and stuff before the kids come. Plus, it's less traumatic of a scene if you change it up a little bit. And they have insurance that says you can't be having biological hazardous waste just lying around where kids are going to school. That's crazy. I don't know why this is such a big deal to everyone.
Actually go up on a podcast and explain. I got the call. They said it was a paver emergency. I've never in my entire career heard of a paver emergency. They had already had someone come up and dig up the dirt. So by the time he got there on Sunday, the dirt had already been dug up for him to lay down pavers. That is what people are looking at and going, this is weird. There needs to be answers for why this was done. And he tells us the call came from the feds and the governor's office. UVUs washed their hands of it. And what he's saying sounds true, because we heard during the testimony, one person described the region.
So I don't know who this guy was, but I don't necessarily believe him. The school had put out a statement about why they did this and everything. I've read it on this channel before. I think that people come out and they lie and they say all kinds of stuff in high profile cases and tip lines, et cetera, et cetera.
Of who was in control of everything. The feds were in control of the courtyard. So in order for anybody to have paved anything, that was federal territory, so to speak. I'm maybe not using it in the best cop term, but the feds were in control of the courtyard. So these are things that I think should be answered for. Why are we doing things differently than you would in any other criminal scenario of keeping the evidence until we know more, until we're confident, the various decoys. I did it. It just doesn't look right.
Okay, so go back to the question. So what would you need to see for you to say
something? If they had, I was expecting, here we have him, he took the shot, here it is. And then I'd be like, great, a clear image of him on the staircase. I'm like, that's definitively Tyler Robinson and he was on campus. We got nothing. We got literally nothing but hearsay of people saying.
But you basically get no case.
What?
You basically no case on planet Earth. You get the,
sure.
Oh, we got a picture.
Okay,
Here's him with the murder weapon.
Right.
Here's him taking the shot.
Most of this doesn't take place on a college campus that has surveillance everywhere.
Yeah.
One clear image of his.
But I don't understand when you're
his
asked,
car plates.
if you're asked the question, what would it take to convince? It'd be the same question be asked to me. Andrew, what would take to convince you that the oppositional is true, right? That he's a patsy or something like that. Just good, clear, concise evidence that's been presented, right? And is being presented that I could go through and link all together to see if there's actually some clear picture of there being a patsy. That's what it would take for me.
Okay.
Just a good,
I don't disagree with that. We haven't heard the defense
just
respond.
a good evidentiary standard. And then of course I would change my mind.
So just to qualify this. So there is a possibility in the next few months that you may come out and say, guys, it's done. Tyler killed him.
Yeah.
So you're saying yes to that.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the audience here. That from
Without
you,
question.
For you, is there anything that you could see for you to say, yeah, this guy was a patsy?
Of course, I'm going to always follow evidence.
Perfect.
So my whole thing is just this. It's really important to me. I don't mind people being truth seekers and justice searchers, and the internet has helped solve tons of crimes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? However, there's also people who, they not only don't solve crimes, but they just come up with conjecture and what's called flooding the zone. You flood the zone with tons and tons of conspiracy-based ideas and they go nowhere, right? And in fact, they actually take away from legitimate investigation. Now, I'm not even saying anybody here is purposely flooding the zone. That's not even the claim. All I'm saying is that the claims made absent, this is just me not being convinced by the state's evidence. Those become claims, and claims have to be defended. Just like mine have to be defended, yours have to be defended. And that's what we're going to get to now, yeah?
You want to get into it? Would you guys like to take an ad break?
We'll take an
ad break.
And then we'll talk Erica Kirk and TPUSA.
And the conspiracies that have been conjectured by Candace Owens in regards to this case in the Charlie Kirk
assassination. Folks, we'll take a 3.5 minute break and we'll be back soon. Talk about, is it fair to say you're good defending your position of the overwhelming evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. You take the lead. Go for it.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of questions for you, and I want to make it super painless, right? So no traps, no gotchas. I'm just going to ask them direct, and I think that as long as they're not loaded, if they're loaded, you should not respond yes or no, but as long as they're not loaded, if I just directly ask them, I'm hoping that you'll just give me a direct answer. So here's the questions that I have.
Wait, before we get into that, I would like to just reply to that. Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, we agreed to debate our claims, and then I agreed publicly that I have no issues having a conversation with you about other things that I've discussed that were outside of the court hearing and things like other evidence that's come.
What is she talking about? This is a debate. So the first half was what she demanded, that he explain why he thinks there's overwhelming evidence for the state's case. And then she's supposed to explain why there's overwhelming evidence for the Patsy situation. And he wants to ask her questions about the claims that she has made about this case. And now she's sitting here going, I never said that. I mean, I don't know why you're asking me about that. I never said that I was going to, I don't know why you would be asking me questions like
across our lab and things that we've been speaking about. But I just do want to make it clear to viewers that for whatever reason, you think that you have a right to sort of depose me.
I'm not deposing you. I just want to ask you some questions.
You literally said that I want to be able to question you.
This is a meta conversation.
Right, but okay, so now we're transcending. Like let's use a word to use a word that you're saying. But this is what you're doing, right? Okay. So this part to me feels like a bit.
Am I allowed to ask the questions?
I've already said you can ask questions, but I made it very clear to you via email and with you in conversation that we should be speaking. This isn't like you get to sit. I want to ask you. If you want to depose me, you should join Brigitte Macron's defense team. But you're like, I'm just going to ask questions. Can you answer it? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know what you're going to ask.
I know.
I'm going to answer
and if you have
issues
issues with it,
I'm not.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Just so we're clear.
Usually in the debate, if something's not loaded, I'm just direct.
Because you kept saying I'm Joe Rogan. They have no evidence. They have no evidence. And now you're like, let's move away from the evidence. Let's talk about transcendentals.
She acts like what he's saying is weird. These are debate things. She's going to go on into at some point being like, I'm not like being disposed. You're not supposed to dispose me. This isn't a court. Debate and logic has many things similar with the court stuff. That's how you examine. Courts are set up to examine evidence, and it's a way to get to the truth of a matter with rules and et cetera, in a court setting. That's how we get to the truth, and that's how we get justice, etc. These are a lot of the same rules as in debate. Like It's a lot of the same principles.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so direct question, super easy. Was Lance Twiggs DNA in the rifle, as far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
As far as you know.
I already answered that in the first part. We can't say that for certainty. I told you the context of which they spoke about those things.
So no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty until we know what other the 5 sets of prints were on.
So that
there.
would be no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say no, as far as I know, for certain.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say that for certainty.
if your energy here is going to be like you're my dad and you can tell me how to speak or what I'm supposed to say, you're just going to come up against the wall. I'm familiar with this debate strategy.
But I am just telling
yes or no, yes or no. We're not debating anymore. We're having a conversation. So I already addressed that in the first half of this about why.
No, we're still definitely.
Andrew Wilson paid you $300,000 so that he could debate you for 3.5 hours. The first 1.5 hour was going to be you questioning him about the information that he finds overwhelming, and the last half was going to be him debating you on his stuff, what he wants to know. And now she's saying this isn't a debate, we're just having a conversation. What the hell? Oh my gosh.
Debating. This is still
no, it's not a debate. Now this is you saying I want to probe things that sit outside of the evidence. I actually already addressed this. You asked me. You're not going to go like where you're sitting and I'm on trial. I'm not on trial.
Okay, great.
Let's you can have a conversation as we've agreed to.
Let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government. That's what I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Okay, so this is what I think was going on with the whole Kent thing, and I even question if maybe him and whatever faction he's working with fed her that information through the email tip or whatever, but let's just put that aside for now. If she sent in that thing saying that the French Legion put out a hit on her and it was the French Legion, and then she's going to say here it wasn't an Israeli thing, but in that message that she put on X, she said there was at least one Israeli agent with the French Legion assassins. And if she turned that over to Tulsi Gabbard's office and that is the thing that Joe Kent is taking then therefore into the future when he resigns, and then he comes out and says there was leads that we were not allowed to probe any farther, even though he wouldn't do that. He's just a collection agency, so they just collect data about, counterintelligence. They just collect intelligence and give it to investigators. So he himself couldn't investigate, and he wouldn't know if anyone did investigate any leads he came up with. But I am now thinking that that was just what Candace Owens sent in about the French Legion and the possible Israeli assassin on that team. Then he gets to go out in the future and he gets to start spreading it around like, oh, there was a credible, lead that we weren't able to trace down. Do you see what I'm saying?
It was
positive evidence.
It was told to me by somebody who is high up in the French government. I passed off that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office. I also passed it off to Trump's office, Donald Trump's office. And that's all I can tell you. I wouldn't be able to probe any evidence because I don't have the power to do that. I'm not the federal government. And I would also like to say that this becomes this other piece of what you do, which is when people say, I was told this, and this is the evidence that I have, and I'm willing to have that conversation and write the email to the correct government body that deals with this. Like, I can't hack into Emmanuel Macron's bank accounts and say whether or not the information.
I agree.
But then you go, well, where's your evidence? It's like, well, my evidence is that I reported it. I did the right thing that you're going to do. So if somebody calls and says, hey, Andrew, there's a viable death threat against you, and that person definitively has.
Why can't she have her team pull up that email or whatever it was that she got the information through? That would be a piece of evidence to look at, right?
The rank to be able to tell you this. And you say, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to report that to the feds. And I go, what's your evidence? It's like, well, I got the information and I gave the information that I got from who I got it to the right body of people. And that's what I did.
Got it. I just want to make sure. So I'm not trying to trap you. I just want to make sure I got it clear.
And that's why I say I want to know what you're doing now, because this has always been the thing. It's like, we actually can't win on the overwhelming claim. So we're just going to go and bring up everything that I think can try to embarrass her. I reported exactly as I received it. I'm not trying to embarrass
you. I just want to make sure that I get the positions clear.
I have not said, yeah, go ahead.
And now you have stated multiple times that you believe that Israel's involved in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Can you give me...
Yes, we can pull up the clip. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the context for what are you talking about? Like when I say, generally speaking, why people think that Israel's involved? Okay, where's your question?
Yeah. Do you have any positive evidence whatsoever that Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, I couldn't say Israel was on the ground and shot and killed Charlie Kirk. I would say that there are various things that we're trying to establish, one being a motive. And since I don't believe that Tyler Robinson and his transferee is a convincing motive because he was fired up about politics, which Lance testified that he never spoke about with him, nor do I believe that he was, so into LGBTQ issues.
Why is it that they will use Lance's testimony when it suits them? So right now she's using Lance's testimony to say, oh, well, Lance said that he never talked about politics or LGBT issues with him. But also Lance said that Tyler told him that he did it and that he then felt bad and started crying. Why are we not using that evidence, like in the testimony? That doesn't make any sense to me. You can't say, oh, well, because Lance told investigators that, or the attorneys that, Tyler Robinson never talked about politics with him. And then but ignore the fact that Tyler Robinson told Lance, who Lance reported, that he told him that he had assassinated Charlie Kirk and that he felt bad about it and wish he hadn't have done it.
Since Lance testified they never spoke about LGBTQ issues, that he stopped and ate at Chick-fil-A, which if you are into LGBTQ issues, wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie Kirk for LGBTQ issues, because,
Yeah, but do you have positive?
That is so... Like, that was years and years ago that was a thing. I'm like, he went and ate at Chick-fil-A, so therefore, there's no way that the state's evidence is true. What?
Evidence.
I'm answering the question as I feel like I want to answer it. Like I said, you don't get to for an hour and a half.
But the question I'm asking is about positive evidence.
I'm telling you that in any case, establishing a motive and I already.
She doesn't know what positive evidence is. She doesn't know that word. She doesn't know what you're talking about. That's why she's getting confused and defensive, because she doesn't know what you're saying and she doesn't want to look stupid.
Explain this at the top of the show, but the reason why people find Israel to be an interesting question is because truthfully, Charlie's perspectives were changing on Israel.
Sure.
And he was starting to realize how much pressure was being put on not just our government to constantly fight their wars, but also being put on his organization personally. If people had come out and been honest about that, rather than rabid claiming he never flinched and everybody's lying and this is not true, you would probably have people that just go, that's life. People change their opinions.
I understand.
And then there was the rabid, not even that. It's like everything was about trying to convince the public how much he liked it.
So then other
Israel.
than intuition, how you feel about things, do you have any evidence Israel was involved in killing Charlie Kirk?
I have already said, and if you're watching my show in the context of what I said, this is the general sense of why people think Israel's involved. Nobody has made the claim that Israelis, there were also, obviously
Ian
Joe
Carroll
Kent.
made the claim.
Well, Joe Kent, who I think would have the right to assert it, noted that there were 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground that day. I think most people would like to probe that. Now, it could be maybe they were students, and they were.
Okay, so we did not know that came from Joe Kent. She let that slip. She's the only person up until this point that had reported on that. No one knew where that came from. It wasn't in any official stuff. Now we know that Joe Kent told her that. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. And that's why I'm wondering what's really going on with this Joe Kent and Tucker and all these people that maybe they were feeding her information.
Israeli students in Utah that day. But we'd like to probe that narrative because what we've seen after coming from the Israeli government, the Israeli prime minister, kind of denying that he did it, which wasn't really necessary. He was quite busy. The phone call that happened, which no one wants to discuss in the Hamptons the week prior, or not the week prior, I think it was around August 5th or 6th that took place. Mm-hmm. And again, the almost desperate lies about Charlie shifting opinion on Israel lead us to believe that there could be an Israeli angle in this. But we cannot say for certainty that Israel called the shots and this is how it happened. But it is definitively, I think, a thread that a lot of us would like to see.
There's no positive evidence.
Whatever you want to say, however.
So American Jewish donors, which were not by far all of Charlie's donors. That's like another thing that they'll say. I looked this up a while back. Most of his donors were not Jewish. Like a lot of his really big donors were not Jewish. It was only some of them. And so they're Americans. They're not Israeli. And so him having spats with his donors in the weeks before he was murdered would not have anything to do with the state of Israel. You know, like that's just not logical to leap to that.
Positive, negative, however you want to say it.
Well,
I
like
don't
positive
need to
evidence
just
would
have
be
a conversation.
material evidence and other
Well,
evidence.
Well,
which would
what we've
point you
said
to it.
is on our show is what we said, which is this feels like a conspiracy building. There's no reason to lie about these things, and yet people are lying. BB ain't acting right. The Hamptons thing was weird, and the way they tried to shove the Israel narrative down our throat immediately. I mean, the day he died, posting a picture of him with an American and Israeli AI'd photo on the president's feed doesn't feel right.
Do you have any evidence that Erica Kirk or TPUSA participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I've never said they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk. So how could I say that I have evidence they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Okay. So then you don't believe that they did?
I never have said that statement. So I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay, fair.
Your team is sending messages in the back saying they have a video they want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what the video is. Yes, you said that there's a video you want to play that Candace said she has full confidence Israel was involved.
Yep.
Yeah. He said evidence that they killed him. I said this is why people think their involvement.
So
if they have the clip, they can play the clip.
Yeah.
They're referring to a clip.
Yeah. Via whom? My guess is Pierre Carica. I think that there's a reason Pierre knew that Charlie was dead first. I think there's a reason he was a priority. How? Why? I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence.
Okay.
I also involvement.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you think you with full confidence, you think that
I think
that
Israel's
France
involved.
and Israel.
Yeah. I mean, the person that gave me that thing that I reported said that French Foreign Legion were on the ground that day.
Mhm.
Again, this would be at a professional limitation for me to then go and probe that information that I handed over. I can't do that. I'm not
But
the
you don't
United
have
States
any
government.
positive evidence of
Okay,
that.
okay.
Right?
Liz, can you just stop? It's actually just like annoying to hear you keep saying positive evidence. I've just asked me what I think, and I just tell you, yes, I think they are
that's
involved.
a claim.
No, I said here's what I think.
I have every right
think-
to ask you about your claim.
Yeah, but
and if there's positive evidence
in
for
this
your
statement,
claim.
I literally just said I think, and I am allowed to think. And
Yeah,
you
you're
keep
allowed to
saying,
think,
do you have
but you're making
positive
a
evidence?
claim.
I have tons of positive evidence that I'm allowed to think. Yes.
I agree. You're allowed to think.
Okay. So
Nobody's disputing whether or not Candace Owens is allowed to think. What I'm asking is
but
you have
what's your issue then? What is your issue with the statement?
evidence.
I think
Uh-huh.
that Israel is involved.
That's not just what you said. You said
I did
that
say I
it's
think.
it's with full confidence.
Yes.
You would think that if you had full
Can you have confidence
confidence
to think when you think?
if I said, for instance, I think I'm going to be late to work, right? With full confidence, I would say my evidence for that is that I'm 20 minutes away and I need to be there in 5.
Andrew,
That's how you would know whether or not you had full
I'm just
confidence.
going to tell you something.
No, let me finish.
Sure.
If it was the case that I said I have full confidence I'm going to be late to work, I would say my evidence that I'm going to be is that work is 20 minutes away, right? And I have to be there in 5. So I have full confidence. That's why I would think that. So I'm asking, if you think that Israel and France were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you say with full confidence, I'm just asking for the evidence, or at least walk me through the mindset of why it is that you could think that with
I actually
evidence.
don't have to walk you through why I think. I can give you something that I think with full confidence. I think with full confidence that you lost the substance of this debate, and now you're moving toward things that I have said that I think, which I can do. I'm
They're
allowed to
pertinent
think
to this debate.
It's not exactly pertinent to this
It's
debate.
100% pertinent.
It's not pertinent because our
These
debate
are claims made about Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's the complete substance of the debate.
No, actually, would you like to remind him of what our debate claims actually were?
And would you like to remind you said I could ask you about any of these things to my heart's
feel
content?
free, but you did not get to structure how I'm allowed to reply or ask me
I'm
why
not
are you allowed
structuring
to
how you're
think.
allowed to reply. I'm just asking you direct questions.
I have full confidence that you do not feel that you represented your claim well. And so now what you came
That's
prepared
nice.
to
I just
do is
wanna
to
know-
present yourself like a professor of
I
fallacies.
just want to know.
And to say, you're not allowed to say that. You can't.
You can say whatever you want. Nobody's disputing that. I'm
It
asking.
seems like you are disputing
I'm
it.
asking
I think that
specifically
when this
why
is
you
all
think
said
that.
and done, I've already explained to you. I explained at the beginning of this.
He is not saying that you can't think that. He's not saying that you can't say it however you want. He's asking you a direct question on how it is that you are making these inferences from one thing to the next. What is your evidence? What are you basing the conclusions that you're making on? That's what he's asking you. He's not saying that you can't do it. He's not saying you can't believe it. He's not saying you can't think it. He's asking what it is that's making you think this way. Like, he's not saying you can't. He wants to know why.
Why I think Israel is ultimately going to be proven to have involvement in this. I just explained to you in the middle, and now you're wanting me to structure the sentence or provide evidence. You don't have to. You're just allowed to think. And I've explained to you my thought process. I don't need to structure it in a sentence. If you feel like a professor today, you picked the wrong day.
Don't you think that like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people would want to know what Candace Owens' positive evidence for why it is
No,
that Israel and France were involved in the most traumatic public assassination of Gen Z's lifetime is?
That's why they watch my podcast.
So you're just going to drip to them? Like, here's why I think that?
Every time we come across any of these discussions, they're watching this in context and they know why I'm saying it. So, for example, when you're bringing up, Candace, where's your evidence for France doing this? I just told you someone who was.
Imagine going on a debate and then when you are asked to back up a claim that you've made, you say, oh, well, you have to watch my show. You have to watch my podcast. Why are you on the debate then? Why are we debating? What is wrong with her? She is such a fucking bitch. Oh, gosh.
High ranking in the French government, right?
Who's nameless?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
But
so there's good reason to
it's
doubt
not a conspiracy, though, if I then took it to the federal government. Like, you can't just go out there making a claim to the federal government. You get in trouble for making false statements and things of that nature. So, and then you go, well, I'm going to probe that. Well, how can you probe that? This happened to me.
Ask you, well,
this
that's
is
not
my
what I'm probing
podcast.
specifically.
This is my podcast. I am sharing my life and my experiences and what has happened to me. And you're basically coming in like you're going to, regulate how I'm allowed to say it? If
I'm not trying to regulate
say
anything. I'm asking very pertinent questions.
You're sounding a bit like a professor trying to regulate and say, Candace,
you sound very defensive and like you just don't want to answer questions.
I did answer your question 3 times. I just didn't say it in the way that you wanted me to say it.
You just kind of obfuscate and you run away from it. But I would like for you to actually focus on it.
Let's just go through every clip that you guys have prepared because it's pretty. I think with full confidence, people will recognize the strategy that you're trying to employ. So let's get to the next clip you have prepared.
Sure. They can pull up whatever clips
whatever
they want.
It is that you guys have prepared. So
but I would still, on this point, I just want to make sure that you have full confidence that France and Israel were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
I think
and you have no evidence for it at all that you'll give us.
Well, I already did tell you where it came from. Like I said, I can explain it to you. I can't understand
it
for
you. Did that same higher up tell you that he was going to kill, or that France killed Charlie Kirk, or just that you were in danger?
They said that the French Foreign Legion was involved and on the ground that day. I've already said that. You just don't like hearing it.
No, Candace, just out of curiosity, when you pass down that message to a Tulsi or Trump,
Tulsi's office, yes.
Tulsi's office, are you giving them who told you that, or you're just saying, here's what I heard from somebody?
And I have this information. Sure. And of course, if they wanted to open a file on it, which I thought was quite mysterious, that Trump's office never got back to us. It was kind of weird about maybe they're not the correct office too. I did receive a response from Tulsi Gabbard's office, but I don't think.
Okay, so I'm gonna, just go out on a limb here and think why Trump's office wouldn't get back to Candace Owens on the claim that there were French Legion assassins on the ground in Utah when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So America has a security system like every other country. That's, every country that's pretty big, has a robust security system with their military, with their intelligence offices, agencies that are watching everything, watching our borders, watching our planes, watching they're taking in all kinds of intelligence. They're keeping an eye on the country to keep it safe. And I imagine that if there were just French assassins from a French legion on the ground in Utah, they would know about that. And then they would say, if somebody made a report, like, I got an email from a official, the head of blah, blah, blah in France that said French legions were on the ground when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They probably have ways to know that that's true or not. And to very quickly have found out that that's probably ridiculous and retarded. Okay.
Think there was ever any investigation into what I said.
So the call was, hey, I've been told the email.
Yes.
Email was, I've been told
I have information. That the French Foreign Legion was on the ground during Charlie's assassination. And that, I have a lot of information, but
you didn't give specifics who it was from.
Not in the first email because I figured they would
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if they do contact you,
100,
are you comfortable giving 100% who it is?
I would absolutely give them as much information as possible.
Can I ask a question? If whoever's the U.S. government, why are you not?
Yes, it's very strange to me.
So if that's the case, now they may respond back and say, we did, that's their position.
I did. That's why I did it in writing.
And so I'm glad that's the case because so if they
and right away in Trump's office, his Margot got right back to me. She said it was on his desk. So he has that. There's no.
And if you do say that and they contact that individual, obviously you don't have to leak your sources here. is there enough credibility where that person would be willing to talk to them and explain to them exactly what their sources are?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
That seems reasonable. And so why he's asking me to defend that is like,
I'm not. Never
I
did.
think those are two different things. That's more
Two
something I'm
totally
asking
different
to say,
claims.
why are they not reaching out to you?
I've asked that many times on my podcast.
What do you think about that, Andrew?
What?
The fact that she emailed, she gave it, and nobody reached out to want to contact the
They
source.
probably didn't think it was actionable, is my guess. But even if they did think it was actionable, great. Every lead should be followed up on within the confines of what's rational and reasonable.
Is it fair to say that this is maybe a different individual because this is a person that was involved with TPUSA
Well, we
and
don't-
had a relationship with
Wait,
Charlie?
who?
No, her relationship. Like
Yeah.
this isn't just anybody. So if an average person sends it, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know who the source is. We don't know any
Well,
of
then
this.
if you were in that department, wouldn't you want to, even you assign it to one of your
There's
guys
no
to
guarantee
say,
they didn't look into it. How do we know? We don't
How
know.
could they
No,
if
how
they
could
didn't come
they if
get
she didn't
more,
give it
the
to them?
information, more of the information? Because it
And
was a
by the way,
long
this-
file.
Yeah.
This is a separate, this
Did
has
you
got
send
nothing
them
to do
the
with the
guy's
debate.
name?
This is more on
Well, I sent the email, assuming that you kept saying like you go and you make a report. You think they're going to come back to you and say, "Hey, what's more information? We're investigating this," and that didn't happen, which is what I raised.
No,
I
I'm
found
asking,
that,
did you send the
especially
source
because
of the
this was at
claim?
a time where they were saying that they wanted to explore every possible lead. I even texted Dan Bongino.
But did you-
So actually, it was three offices:
let me ask one
the
question. and then
executive
I'm gonna come to you.
office, Dan Bongino, and Tulsi Gabbard's office.
Okay, so a follow-up to that is the following.
Mhm.
If they contact you to say, is that specifically to the French government or Israel's involvement in the killing of Charlie Kirk?
That wasn't about
Those
Israel.
are two separate things.
That wasn't about Israel.
Okay,
They were
got it.
saying the French foreign, that person as a part of it was saying that it was the French Foreign Legion that was on the ground that
So
day.
I'm surprised
And
they
I
haven't
think
called you.
then I find that to be very strange too.
I do as well.
Because who would want to make a report? Like, I mean, I've never
But-
made a report with the federal
but
Let me
when
government.
he
ask one
did-
question.
but
Let
when
me
he
just
did
ask one
send
question.
it-
Mhm.
Let me just ask one
Okay.
question, and I'm going to bring
Okay.
it to you.
Sure.
The question is in regards to, I've not seen that clip, so I'm seeing it now.
Mhm.
I'm full confidence. I believe that
Mhm.
Israel and French was involved. Is that also based on a source that somebody told you that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, or is that a gut feeling?
So in terms of Israel, I mean, what I've said is what I publicly have said here. I do think that at the end of this, we are going to find that Israel was involved. I do. Now, in terms of any of the hard evidence that's been presented, I think this has been a huge problem that a lot of us have had is that
Mhm.
they won't even explore anything else that was going on in Charlie's life personally. So if we're not satisfied that Tyler Robinson did this in any way, then every alternative theory should be explored. Other evidence should be brought forward. We've done that in our capacity. Like when people keep saying she has no evidence, it's kind of crazy. I think we've broken like more stories than any news source in the world. I mean, down to pictures, details, police officers, what the dog's name was, because we're not the only people that believe there's a conspiracy here. The police officers that were involved, the many police sheriff's offices that were departments that were involved that day, all believe there was a conspiracy. Down to the U.S. Marshals believe there was a conspiracy. They were my sources at the U.S. Marshals were saying they were basically sent on a wild goose chase that day.
But do you see how you say my sources?
You're not allowed to have sources.
Well, the thing that's funny
So
is-
is CNN allowed to have
Well,
sources?
hang on. I
that
have
we can't-
sources. If I said I have sources that claim none of that's true. In fact, my sources claim that her sources are lying. My sources claim that none of them believe that there's a conspiracy. My sources claim all of them really think that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman. If I just said that as hypothetical, wouldn't you say, what?
Yeah, I think what probably adds weight is like then when I drop photos of the car that no one was supposed to see, people go, okay, her sources are legit. So, and then when what I say is then proven in court and nobody knew those things, people are recognizing that my sources are legit. When I say Charlie was scared in the last days, and then I dropped the text message, which you've just learned about a couple of weeks ago, of him saying he was leaving the pro-Israel cause when everyone was lying about that, then they say, I think Candace's sources are legit. So I think what's happened is I've actually built up a rapport with my audience that it's not vibes and dreams, and that's why they keep watching my content, because like, for example, when I just the other day released the content of the shooter on the roof doing the lateral crawl, then they're going, I don't think these are just vibes. It seems like Candace's sources are legit. So I've proven myself in the market.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would legitimize your sources as being legitimate when it comes to the idea that, oh, they all believe that there's a conspiracy going on, which is actually what your claim is now. How
Well,
would that
I
actually,
was just-
hang on, I'm almost done.
Like,
How
I
would
was
that-
talking to PVD.
How would that legitimize? Well, it's not his debate. How would it legitimize these sources that even if it's the case that you get some court footage or some things like this, why would it legitimize that your sources are telling you all the marshals believe it's a conspiracy, all the police believe it's a conspiracy, everybody believes it? How would that legitimize
Well,
any
what
of
I
that?
am saying to you, and you are not forced to believe it. So let me just explain what I was answering here, and I think that you understood what I was saying. Is I have, because people trust me, compiled a lot of information and presented it to the public, and this information has been proven true. We've presented photos, we have presented videos, never before seen stuff. The public has never seen it. And so what that does is your audience goes, okay, when she says that she has these sources, clearly she's telling the truth. Now, whether you would then go, well, I'm going to believe her when she says they think that there's a conspiracy, that's up to you. You cannot watch my content. I'm not here to tell you that you have to watch my content or believe everything I'm saying.
Well, don't you think
but I am-
questioners should get questioned as well?
So let's check in on some of her content after this debate. Let's take a break from the debate. I know I just got into it, but I'm going to stitch this. So You guys have been watching the debate for a while. Let's go see what she's been up to after this debate. Okay, so let's check this out.
Be a consequence for Turning Point USA. There does. There has to. Vengeance does not belong to me, but the truth belongs to everybody. And there's nothing I do better than sentencing them to more truth. So get excited, because tomorrow we will be sentencing Turning Point USA to more truth, which is what they want, more truth and transparency, right? You send an absolute slob to my home to debate me, to disrespect me by not just being honest and forthright about who he wanted to bring here, to violate our rules of no filming where my children play. We drop more truth. That's it. That's all. When Erica say that, that's it. That's all. Anyway, that will be tomorrow. I am very already late on book club. Do we have?
Okay, so she told Andrew that he could bring 3 fact checkers and a cameraman. Now, they wouldn't let them actually use a cameraman and stream, so they just gave them a live key so they could stream from her channel to their channel. Now, listen to me. Andrew invited Gerald from Steven Crowder, okay, and as one of his people, and Rob Knorr, and I don't know who else, Mr. E, I think maybe. So where they brought them in, so they brought Andrew and his team in. Her security patted them down, and this was through a garage. And this is how they got in and out of her studio to the outside during the breaks and everything, was through this garage that they brought them in. And so Gerald FaceTimed for a few seconds, and all you could really see was like the wall of the garage and Gerald's face. And he FaceTimed with Steven Crowder. So now she has come out on her show, and she is saying that she's going to punish and make TPUSA pay for what Gerald did filming in her garage. And she's saying that it's her children's play space. Okay, so check this out. Okay, so Gerald, I just watched, let me see if I have this one. I just watched Candace talk about me in her home. I played no tricks. I was, in her words, kind and professional. It was a garage that had kids' toys in it. I informed her security team I would be doing a live hit there. Live hits were only planned right before the debate started, since that is when I found out they were doing ad breaks, to get to the truth. I was invited by Andrew, not by Steven. I was there to assist in live fact checking, which I did. I was part of the streaming conversation the night before, and her telling is wildly inaccurate. Finally, that freeze frame is just mean. Steven looks amazing and I look very silly. That really hurts. So everyone's attacking him now. You choosing to defend wandering into a room full of toys belonging to the 4 children of a pregnant woman in Candace Owens' private home is the creepiest flex I can fathom, especially when you look way too excited to be doing so. You making little of it somehow is even worse. It was the garage we were brought into to be patted down by security, and it served as a walkway to and from the studio. Everyone was coming and going through that garage. Candace crashing out over this is very weird. This is not going to end well for you, Gerald. You use subterfuge and obfuscation to insert yourself into her home and violate her hospitality. You have besmirched your already questionable ethics. Just apologize for being a tool. I know it's hard when your boss is a mega tool too. So here's hers. Tweet about this. Candace Owens says, it was literally in the contract, no filming outside the studio space. It was then explained to Andrew over a FaceTime call, which I recorded, that the reason for this was simply because my children play just outside the studio. PBD can confirm this. I do not need to lie. Beyond the contract, no man should feel comfortable dialing into a live show from a playroom or someone's personal home. Something spiritually should say to you, let me ask the owner for permission, or I shouldn't do this because it is wrong. Morally, Morality and decency should not require contracts, but in this case, there was one. And so, like, everyone's attacking him, calling him a PDF file and all kinds of stuff. It's absolutely wild.
Happy Tuesday to everyone except the people who think that we need positive evidence to share our opinions and cannot comprehend why that's patently ridiculous. Happy Tuesday to everyone except the people who think that we need. Yesterday, there must be a sentence handed down from the court of Candace for Turning Point USA's misdemeanor offense. They ran afoul of CO code 92784, colluding with debate bro slobs to attack me, violating my personal space, ignoring the rules, having the permanent creep Steven Crowder sneak his CEO into my home to join Steven's show from my children's playroom without my consent, without my knowledge. None of that can be tolerated. Yesterday, there must be a sentence handed down from the court of Candace for.
Okay, so she was paid $300,000 by Andrew, not Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA has nothing to do with any of this. He does not work for them. He's not affiliated with them in any way when it comes to debating. Okay, then now she's saying that this is all Turning Point USA's fault. They're behind this and they have to pay. Okay, this woman is literally, this is psychotic work. Okay, this is just crazy.
None of that can be tolerated under the current law that we have on the books. We all know what their punishment is. It's what their punishment always is. I am the magistrate. Therefore, the judge and the jury, they have been sentenced to what they hate the most. More truth. Welcome back to Candace. Conclusions about whether Terrell appeared concerned about anything other than that particular footage. Okay. Here is what Terrell did thereafter, seen for the first time.
She is so mad. She's so mad. And she's going to watch her face. The vile, like Andrew even said on his show that she absolutely hates Erica. He was like, when she brings her up, like, because he's talking about like how he experienced this in person. He's like, you can feel the vile hatred like coming off of her.
Terrell is there. He looks around again, nervously, and he puts the SD card in his pocket and he zips up. He doesn't run to the other cameras and try to grab the SD card. Instead, what he does is he whips out his phone and he begins texting with someone. And that's what he does. Conclusions about whether Terrell appeared. So many things that I know. And I think the biggest thing is don't send a slob to my house. Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that again. Especially.
You wouldn't debate him anywhere else. He wanted to debate you on neutral ground and you refused. Oh my God. Oh my God. You fucking bitch. You fucking bitch.
Especially when I'm pregnant with a boy. It's deeply upsetting to me and it's unnecessary.
What does a boy have to do with it? Especially when I'm pregnant with a boy. What?
Andrew, Erica in particular, you guys are really starting to partner with people who are interested in trying to psychologically go after me and my family, torment us, publishing things about my children's cars and the vehicles that they travel in. I think you should stop doing that. If I could just put something in the suggestion box, just call off the dogs or don't, and we can keep having fun. Anyway, so many things that I know. Potentially trying to trip me into a lawsuit. So you can see they're all salivating for me to be sued. Turning point should sue her. Turning point should sue her. Turning point should sue her. Take her money. Take her money. Shut her down. Bankrupt her. Charlie Kirk got killed and she cares and she won't let it go. Bankrupt her. Bankrupt her. Okay. Well, guess what? People are taking notice of that being odd as well. Potentially trying to trip.
Okay, so this account is Raven Grace, at ravengrace0613. You can follow her if you want, and I will leave it in the description. Yeah, Candace is doing really well after that debate. Really, really well. She's not crashing out at all. Not at all.
By who? I'm not committing a crime, am I? By just like saying what
Well,
I
I
think and
mean,
collecting
aren't
evidence?
most of the people you ask questions of not actually committing crimes?
But what do you mean they should answer questions where? Like at a police station? Like, what are
No,
you
just
saying?
like if you want people to come in and answer questions for you. I have questions about this in the investigation. I have questions about this. I have questions about that. You want them to answer your questions. Doesn't it seem totally fair that you answer back the questions people have for you?
No, they're not answering our questions. So it's also fair that they don't answer them.
So you're
That's why I said Andrew Colbert should be in this chair. He's not.
But
That's
isn't
his
that a double?
prerogative.
But isn't that a double standard?
No, it's not, because he's not doing it.
Yeah, but that would still be a double standard. If you're requesting that he does do it, then that seems to infer that you think he owes you answers.
Oh, so inferences are allowed again?
And they never weren't. So that seems to infer that you think that he owes you answers. If that's the case, then don't you owe answers?
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm answering your questions and his questions about, I mean, I'm talking about Andrew Colbert. His position is he's a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. So when the crowd turns against Turning Point USA on the basis of a lack of information or because there has been, I don't know, seeds sown of distrust, I would imagine, and forget answering my questions because I doesn't need to be me.
Aren't you sowing a lot?
Who sowed those seeds of distrust, Candace? Where did those seeds of distrust come from?
A lot of those seeds of distrust?
Well, I think they're doing a pretty good job themselves, if I'm being honest. You can blame it on Candace all you want.
Well,
People love to do that.
The thing's funny is
people
like,
act like I'm
I think
ground zero.
I'll be fair with you.
Ground zero of people not trusting Turning Point USA.
I think that there was some
actually kind of
PR
the
there.
last.
I think there was some PR there. Sure, they could have done better. Absolutely. I'm not disputing any of that. One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erica Kirk or Erica actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here. Everything I've said is on my podcast.
Okay, if it's already on your podcast and you've already said it, so you've already, like, how is this? And also, if it's true, if you believe it's true, then that's not defamation, right?
I think firmly that if I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all and I would ask questions. I would at this phase. I would.
Okay,
so
what does that mean? Does that mean that you do think so?
I think it was not a sufficient investigation into what we know to be true of 80% of homicides. It's usually conducted by someone you know, right? And the fact that was never even considered, that like I said earlier, the backpack was returned.
Assassinations make up like what, 0.000000001% of homicides? And of those, no, it's not normally somebody that you know. Like, this is another thing they'll say a lot. They'll say, why aren't they investigating Erica? It's always the family who, they investigate first. No, they don't. That is not true. Would be against your constitutional rights. They have to have a reason to investigate you. They have to have probable cause and, some sort of evidence to move the investigation forward, to get warrants, et cetera, et cetera. And so they don't just automatically start investigating the spouse. Now, if somebody's murdered, like if your husband is murdered or somebody close to you is murdered and they don't know what's going on, like, or they're missing or whatever, and foul play is suspected, they will interview and start asking questions about the family members. They're not because they're suspects, but because they're trying to figure out what's going on in the very beginning. Like, were people upset with him? Was there anything unusual? Did he act strange? Did he, or was he fighting with anyone, et cetera, et cetera. So, no, that is not the case. And with this case in particular, everyone saw him get murdered. Everyone saw him get shot in an assassination. And when they looked through everything and they did their investigation, and also the person who did it turned themselves in, and there was clearly probably nothing that linked Erica to that or his company, that is where we are now today. Like, what are you talking about? This is so weird, so crazy. She just hates them. She just hates them so much.
That was never considered.
Because they gave back the backpack, as just one example. They gave back the backpack. They gave back the...
That doesn't show a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, it shows that the police trusted everybody and didn't just hold things up for a
Yeah,
second.
they ruled them out as suspects.
That quickly. I'm not comfortable with that investigation. It's a pretty big organization. There's $100 million incentive. People, this is...
What $100 million incentive?
What I'm saying is his organization, like it had grown to, I think it was 100
plus per year.
Yep.
Okay, but that is a nonprofit organization. And Erica's husband, Charlie, was worth way more to her over her lifetime with him than just that. Like, that's so disingenuous and so stupid to say stuff like that.
Per year, if that's something you want to
Yeah, but what was
The team wants to play a video, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There's a video they want to play of Candace said it's impossible to not believe Erica's complicit. If you guys want to play that video.
Also just asking,
and so right now their guys are going out and they're going to look for evidence. And then by May, which is fortunately around the corner, then she'll see what they found. So what the F is that performance? How could you sit up there and say, yes, I 100% believe Tyler Robinson did it. That right there is why it is impossible for me to.
Most family members think that the person that the state arrests and charges is the one who did it. That is very common in almost every single murder case. Like, this isn't unusual.
Think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Because what?
Those two thoughts actually don't even follow. How would it be the case that even if Erica Kirk did believe that Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk, let's say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say implicit in death. You added those two words.
Okay, so what's she complicit in?
Yes. So sowing this narrative that Tyler Robinson is guilty. So you're chopping up clips. Like I said, you didn't have the confidence to
Okay,
come
well,
into
tell
the
me,
debate,
what
so
does
now
that
you're
mean?
chopping
What
it
does
up.
complicit mean?
We are showing a clip of her on Barry Weiss, which I can't remember the date that she did that interview.
Mhm.
And Erica, when she is asked, do you feel with 100% certainty that Tyler Robinson did this? And she says, I do. Then again, context matters. I sit down with Erica for 4 hours under the assumption that she had some evidence, right? Like I'm like, this is why I did not engage in any like Erica, everyone's questioning what she's wearing and all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to wait here because I don't know, just it feels weird to think that, did I think that some of her mannerisms were weird and stuff like that? Yeah, but that's not, you can't convict somebody on weird mannerisms. And then when I sat down with her and I was expecting for her to say, well, I'm obviously the victim on the case and we got to see the shot, taken or this or that, whatever it is. Great.
Okay, so she was already attacking and making a lot of insinuations with Turning Point. At this point, that's why they had the meeting. So when she went to meet with Erica, and because Erica believed that they had the right person, because victims do, they trust that the state is investigating and found the murder of their loved one. Then when she asked for what Erica had been shown, Erica didn't have anything other than what the public had been shown, because of course not. They don't do that. So then she got all pissed off, right, at Erica, and then all this happened.
That's why she has that much confidence 2 months ago. And when I sat down with her, it was nothing. It was nothing. Okay, so this is a conversation.
How would that make her complicit?
Complicit. And again, you said complicit in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Complicit in what? Yeah.
Well, if you let me finish my sentence, I could tell you that. But my point being is that then you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, this is weird. Why would you have this confidence? And then when you sit across from somebody and you say, okay, great, I want to go out there and defend you now. I want people to know that you can't say this stuff publicly, but you know more things. And she just blanks. And then she says, well, I'm going to call the lawyer. And she called the lawyer. Again, all this is on my show. So out of context clips is not going to work because I know what I say on my show.
Okay.
So we call her lawyer and her lawyer says to us, she calls him on the phone, pardon me. And it's me, her, and Justin Strife. And I'm like, okay, great. What do you guys have? He goes, well, we don't have anything yet. We're not at that phase yet. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have anything? And he says, well, don't you know how it works? It's a probable cause hearing. So basically the state says that they're going to bring this forward. And now our people go out and they look for the evidence to assert that Tyler Robinson is guilty. And so I asked her directly, her lawyer directly, the phone's in between us. I'm like, wait, so just so I'm clear, you haven't seen anything that the public hasn't seen? And he says, no. So I'm going back in my head and I'm going, okay, so why is Erica saying with such a degree of certainty, like she was sent out to convince the public and people bit, by the way. I remember even Megyn Kelly was like, let's wait. She's going to have access to things. I did think she had access to things that we didn't have. Why express that confidence to the public as opposed to just being like, we don't know yet. I feel confident he's involved. They made an arrest.
I don't understand. How would any of this make her complicit and in what?
Well, I've already told you. She's complicit in trying to fool the public into thinking this is some open and shut case.
How's she trying to fool the public into this? If she believes.
Okay, so Candace is saying that because Erica believes that the state has the right person, and then she states that she believes that she is part and complicit in part of making the public believe that he's complicit. This person who more than likely, with all the evidence that we have at our disposal so far, and there's going to be a lot more, killed Charlie Kirk, whom we all love, whom Erica loves more than we do. Candace Owens is upset that Erica Kirk is telling the public that she thinks he killed Charlie, that she's complicit in telling the public that the more than likely killer of Charlie killed Charlie. Like, this is crazy. This is so crazy.
Like, don't look
if she
anywhere
believes
else.
that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk, if she believes that, how would that be complicit in anything?
I do.
Are you saying that you think she doesn't believe it?
I don't believe that at that stage she sat down with Barry Weiss that's what she believes. No, but that's my opinion.
Right. But so when you just say complicit, you just mean she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk? That's it?
That's what we were talking about. That's why I said if your strategy was to dice up clips and take it out of context and make it seem like I said she was complicit.
Everything.
Yeah, but then why not just play the full thing? Like why?
Because we don't have like infinite amounts of time, I'm guessing. You probably don't want to watch.
I'm going to go back to my theory that you didn't feel confident that you could defend your claim that it was overwhelming evidence. So now you're trying to move towards doctored clips and getting me to respond to it.
There's no doctored anything. I'm just making sure that we got this right.
Yes,
that what you're actually saying is that Erica is just complicit in believing it.
When I re-examined her actions backward, because I did not have this perspective of her at the beginning, which is why it's so funny to me that you guys make it seem like I'm ground zero. People thought Erica was sus from day I forgive him. And I was not a part of that. I did not lean into that. I did not contribute to that. I was getting actually terrible messages from my fans being like, Candace, you and Charlie always say to go with your intuition. You won't address this, how we all feel about her.
Okay, so remember in the series that I did on Candace where Jeremy Boring says that Candace Owens told him on multiple occasions or whatever that she was the voice of the people and she would always go with whatever the people said. And so this right here is very interesting psychology. It'd be interesting for somebody in, with a background in psychology or whatever, to go over this clip, especially this part. Like, this later half of the debate is interesting. Now, what she's saying, which is sort of true, like she wasn't attacking Erica in the very, very beginning. What she's saying is that her audience was writing to her and emailing her and leaving her comments about why she's not attacking Erica. And she is Vox Populi. She's Vox Populi. So she's the voice of the people. She's the voice of the mob, of the masses, right? And so because nasty, judgmental, just horribly vile, disgusting women in her audience wanted her to go after Erica and drag her and demean her and all this stuff, she has to do it because she's Vox Populi. Very, very interesting.
Things changed for me when I saw that Zoom call. I will tell you that for sure. And the fact that she lied to me. So I sat across from her and, I wanted to have that conversation publicly, but they're probably grateful they didn't do it publicly. She told me some lies. And so the next thing that happens naturally when somebody lies to you, you go, when any person lies to you, whether it's a toddler, people only lie when they're trying to obscure something else.
Have you addressed what that lie was?
Yeah, I've talked about, we have a list of lies that we've been told, but we can find that,
in
I'm
the
sure.
meeting with her.
Well, no, I didn't want her to cage up. I didn't want to do this, and because I didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't know if she was going to be like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, and I don't know who to trust the organization, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I didn't know. I didn't want to.
Just out of curiosity, before anything happened with Charlie, how close were you and Erica?
Not very close.
So there's not a relationship.
No, I would say it's totally normal. Like it's not like there was any issues at all. We were always nice to each other. It just is our life went to a different phase, right? So Charlie and I hitting the ground, running around, traveling 4 days a week. Now I get married. I find love of my life. I get married and I get pregnant. I've been pregnant. I haven't stopped being pregnant. And what you want out of life changes. You don't want to be running around for 4 days a week and traveling on a plane nonstop. You suddenly want to start building at home and live. I was desiring that suburban life.
Did you guys ever do the double dates? You, George, her, and Charlie? Was there ever double dates between the four of you?
I was engaged to George quickly. We were planning our wedding. I was kind of in my bubble with George. George traveled with me and Charlie, but Erica and him were just starting to date at the beginning of 2019. George and I were planning our marriage. Mm-hmm. So George really got to know Charlie. I wouldn't say that I really got to know Erica. I was just rooting for them because I knew how much Charlie wanted to, find love. And so I was kind of his wing woman throughout that phase. And I was just happy. And I never was under the impression, obviously, that they were going to get married when they were dating. So it wasn't like I was conscious that I really need to get to know this person. And so it was just kind of normal that by that time, because of where I was in my life, that I wasn't spending any time getting to know Erica.
So the complicit part about Erica to you, is that a gut feeling? Do you think
it transformed when she lied?
You can take the lead. I'm just asking questions.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't. I actually don't. I still don't understand what do you think she's complicit in?
Yeah. So when I say Erica's complicit, that's my opinion. When you tweeted Erica's too retarded to kill her husband, would you like to explain how you developed your evidence, your positive evidence for the fact that Erica was retarded?
Yeah, sure. So I just think all women are retarded.
Oh, so you're allowed to just say stuff. Who knew? So, and by the way, what dramatically transformed your opinion of Erica after going to the headquarters? Because you were pretty hostile about.
I wasn't hostile towards them.
You don't think calling somebody too retarded?
No, come on. That's like normal tongue-in-cheek stuff for me online.
Oh, you're being tongue-in-cheek.
Usually when I call someone retarded, I'm being tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. Like for instance, you got supporters. I mean, if you want to use the same exact argument, you would take a supporter like Owen Benjamin. He called you bad names and called your husband bad names. You're just like, well, it's no biggie.
I've never answered him on anything that he said. I'm saying that you now are her biggest defender. So do you still think
I'm not her biggest defender?
Do you still think she's too retarded?
No. I didn't know Erica Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Okay, but you had an issue with Turning Point being led by a bunch of fembots, talking about the feminist angle.
Still do.
And then suddenly you go to the headquarters.
Still, it's a terrible idea.
You go into the headquarters. Now all of a sudden you've got text messages that you're sharing with them. You say that you and your wife are getting involved with management.
No. I'm not involved in any management at Turning Point.
Well, I'm pretty sure there is a clip of you where you say that your wife went to their recent conference and sat down. And then when you were on Joe Rogan.
No. Hang on. I'll explain what happened just so that you understand.
Yeah.
So I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to do on recommendation. So I went down and did some debate. That's the first time I ever met anybody at TPUSA.
Okay. And then you said you sat down with Erica.
Well, I didn't sit down to her. I talked to her in a hallway.
So you didn't sit down and speak with Erica?
No, I didn't have like some sit down long conversation. We talked in a hallway.
Okay. Is that when you gave her the hug?
Yeah. Gave her the hug right there. My wife did too. We were both very sorry for what happened.
Okay. So at what point did you
hug that woman whose husband just died and she's grieving? Did you dare show her grace and emotional support? Andrew, did you hug her? What on earth?
You start receiving text messages from that you cited in your opening statement.
I just reached out to TPUSA and said, I'm prepping for a debate. Is there anything that's pertinent that I can use here?
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for, basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly...
It's amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the murder of people's deaths, that perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent, other than thinking that, perhaps you're diabolical.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if I was going to release that information, I didn't demand that it be released to me. I actually never demanded that it be released. I just simply said that this is what was going on in the last 48 hours. Maybe to the media, they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erica too retarded in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that Turning Point is sending you as their horse.
Well, I don't know.
They don't have the courage to have the conversation. If they were just releasing something in good faith to answer questions,
do you have any
I've never
evidence
demanded. It's not evidence. You're sharing your opinion that she's too retarded. I can't share my opinion that I think it's going to register as really obvious to the public. That rather than presenting that throughout the course of everybody wanting to know what Charlie was going through his last days, they decided to give it to you to come to my house as some sort of a surprise. Do you think the public's not smart enough to see through that?
Do you think that if you
talking about terrible PR,
if you know that there's a huge debate that's coming up that's going to be probably one of the most viewed that year, and one of the debaters calls you and says, I'm taking this position. This is the position that I feel like there's the most evidence for. And Candace also agreed to answer many of my questions in regards to this. So if you got pertinent evidence here that I can use, I'd definitely like to take a look.
What is that?
It was actually amazing to me. It really was actually amazing to me how if you approach people in good faith and just say, hey, I'd actually like to know what the facts and details are around this, they actually do talk to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just do not believe that they are doing this in good faith. I don't believe that anything you have done is demonstrated that's in good faith. It demonstrates that you walked into Turning Point USA headquarters and came out a different man because you were critical of the organization. You were critical of Erica, and now you're sitting here going, Candace, I want to interrogate you for an hour and a half about everything you've ever said about Erica. Have you ever been
critical of somebody that you hadn't met and then you meet them and you're less critical of them?
And the inverse has happened too. I was less critical about Erica, and now I'm more critical about her.
But I'm asking you, isn't it the case that there's people you've been critical of and then you've met them and you're less critical after you meet them?
Too retarded. I feel like if you think that she's dumb and let's just talk about your record. I mean, you're a person that has spent time in what most people would term to be the manosphere, talking about
Well,
yeah,
I debate against
against feminists
and red pillars.
Okay.
And
You started out on the right wing in the manosphere. What are you talking about? Your podcast was named Red Pill Black. You were friends with Mike Cernovich. Oh my gosh. I just love how she just cherry picks everything. It's like she has no thoughts except for like in the moment, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment. She doesn't remember anything past the moment. It's bizarre.
a lot of the actual, so I'm a Christian ethicist.
And then you go on to Joe Rogan and you're like soft explaining away why Erica had to take over Charlie's company when they don't have a parent at home. So now you're a feminist icon. Like you just go into the headquarters and you just shift all of your perspectives.
That's a bizarre criticism. Like nobody's in the bigger girl boss position than you.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Why would she not take over her husband's organization? That doesn't make any sense. I'm sure she has plenty of time with her kids. They're very small. She probably takes them to work with her. She, like this is just so dumb and so disingenuous and is just catty, vile, mean girl stuff. Oh, how dare she work as a CEO when she has children? What?
No,
you're in the biggest of the girl boss positions. Like you don't have to do this. Okay. You just do this. You could definitely not do it at all and be fine, right? But you still do.
I would say that you are making a comparison that cannot be compared because Erica's husband was just assassinated in front of the world.
Which makes sense. Why should we take the organization over?
It makes sense why you would go home to your kids, just so you know.
Wait a second. That's bizarre.
Yeah, they don't have a parent. They don't have a parent and they've just suffered a
Coretta King, after her husband died, like 6 days later, was at a workers' strike, giving a speech.
Trauma, you don't go into the office.
You want to protect your husband's legacy, right?
No.
And you're trying to find some new normal.
The legacy is his children, not the organization.
It's both.
No,
yes, it is both. It's totally rational and reasonable to believe that it would be both Turning Point USA, that is part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. He worked his whole life for it.
This is why people think she's sus.
And his children. Now, for you though, to say that anybody's a girl boss, right? That's like the pot calling the kettle black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, that was you. You brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm telling you that you brought up this idea that I'm defending some feminist nonsense. I'm not. I'm pointing out that they're by the way,
she's not qualified to take over his company.
There's always objective outliers to each situation. In fact, it's the exception that proves the rule. And the interesting thing here is like, I'm still just as critical of feminism inside of TPUSA as I've always been. And I'm just as critical of any pro-Zionist position as I've ever been. None of that's ever changed. By the way, I would think it's the most rational, reasonable thing on planet Earth to do if you wanted to actually see an organization change, to try to work with leadership or reach out to leadership to try to do so. Doesn't that make the most amount of sense?
I would like to state for the record that I think Erica is underqualified to run the organization. Sure. And on the more emotional aspects, I agree with what seems to be a majority opinion, because I'm not gonna say it's scientific, that any woman that would leave her kids and go right into the office after their husband was publicly assassinated does not have their priorities straight.
Okay, well, I understand that you can have those criticisms, but I'm not understanding still how that would make her complicit.
I don't have to keep answering the same question.
Okay,
so let's
feel like you got an answer to how it's complicit.
Your team is asking to play a clip. So if we want to play this clip to just finish this segment on the Erica Kirk topic, we can spend some time on that as well. Okay. So if you guys are ready in the back, we're ready.
And causing that 30-06 diameter, as would happen with a pet and explosives, as we've demonstrated to you in the past, it accidentally, because of how Charlie was crouched, went up and hit his neck. And that ruined everything. That ruined everything. It was problematic. It's the reason why Terrell then had to scramble to get the cameras down, because they were never supposed to see it. They could have said reasonably that a 30-06 got eaten by Charlie, much more reasonably, obviously, than saying that the chicken bones in his neck stopped it because he ate vegetables.
Chicken bones? Chicken bones? Your neck doesn't have chicken bones. It's your spine. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, so this is, she's implying, and this is recent, because it's about the shape charge. Ridiculous. So they say that the road mic has petin in it, which is what you use in explosives, and that it had a shape charge, which just means you kind of focus the material that's going to explode in a direction, but it still explodes it's not like you're focusing it that way, but there will still be an explosion. But why they played this, which Andrew didn't pick up on because the communication was rough, But what they're trying to show here is that she's saying that Terrell, the camera guy, and because he would have been the one doing the miking up and everything, and he grabbed the SD cards, was in on the exploding mic, and so was Erica, because she's saying because he was leaned over, it didn't hit him right, so then it made everything mess up, and now it was going, like, we couldn't, it didn't go all the way through the neck, so we can't buy the 30-06 wound thing now. And so they knew it had messed up, which is why he took the SD cameras from the back and then immediately called Erica. So that right there is her implying very explicitly that Erica and the rest of his team there were in on his offing.
They panicked. That's why Terrell's nervous on the phone with me. Again, this is my theory, and I am now very much sticking to it. Okay. They panicked. It's the reason Erica had to step out. That's why she would have gotten on the phone with Terrell so quickly, because I was going, why is Terrell saying, well, I didn't want Erica to relive. Oh, that's why I did it. He didn't have an answer. He was nervous. It was crazy. But he acknowledged it. He spoke to Erica immediately. Why did you speak to Erica immediately?
So do you believe that there was a shape charge that killed Charlie?
Hey, can I ask you why you keep starting clips mid-sentence?
Probably to get to where the clip is.
No, it doesn't seem that way, because you can always start a clip at the beginning of a sentence. Like you're just it's completely out of context.
Wait,
but
I didn't prepare the clips, but
yeah, I didn't.
But it's fine to ask it to back it up.
Like I said, I don't need to say what's happening here because the internet will clock it. But in this episode, we are now going, and that's why I said we're now going to look at some alternative theories. I made it very clear that this was a theory that I didn't want to look at. This is, I believe, because I don't have every episode on my head, but I'm pretty sure this is an episode where we presented the evidence that was in the car, the photos of what was in the car, right? And so we are now inferring off of what we see in the car that this very much does look like that we see a bunch of shattered Rode microphone, which was an early theory that I was actually interested in, but couldn't really wrap my head around what was the shape charge explosive. As I say at the beginning of the episode, it was just not my expertise. And I was concerning myself with timelines and stories and statements that didn't make sense. Without question, Terrell Farnsworth is someone who made me think that we were missing a big part of the story. So I'm walking them through John Bray's theory. If we started to insert what we are actually observing with the evidence that we're taking a look at and what took place that day. So we're completely in the hypothetical right here. And you're now introducing this.
If that's the case, if you're just hypothetically exploring it, that's why I'm just asking directly.
Pulling up random clips. Why is she so weird about what she has said? Like, those are her own words.
Sure. Do you think that your alternative theory?
I think John Bray's theory should be explored. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was killed with an explosive?
I think that is a possibility. Yes.
Okay.
And it should be explored. He's done a lot of work on it. John Bray has done good work, and I think that's why that.
John Bray is not an expert in this field. He would never be considered an expert in court. Everything that they have evidence of with Charlie Kirk's body indicates that he was shot with a 30 caliber rifle, a high-powered rifle with a 30 caliber class bullet. They pulled the bullets out of his neck and body. And so to sit there and say that they should then investigate this random weirdo on the internet who has made this theory that's not based off science at all is utterly insane.
Theory is now starting to gain steam since we released the second set of the photos of what was in the car. I think it's viable.
So this was the big thing I wanted to get into with you on the explosives too. What is it about that theory that's actually compelling to you? So I looked into the explosive mic theory multiple times, and the biggest thing that stood out to me is there's no explosion. there's literally no explosion. In fact, there's videos when the shot rings out that kills Charlie. At least it sounds like a shot to me. People are actually like looking up towards where the gun is being fired. They're looking away for where the sound is. Like, where's the actual explosion?
Well, for every person that you say looks away, there's going to be a person that was looking forward. We have former Marines that have gotten on and said, it looks to me like there's an explosion under his shirt, right? You obviously saw Rob O'Neill.
He's not a former Marine. He's ex-SEAL Team 6. And he is the guy who supposedly shot Osama bin Laden, and then they put his body in the ocean. And as far as I remember, all of the conspiracy theorists, which would include these random people all over the internet, these crazies, he's not trustworthy, and we've never liked him, and we didn't believe anything he had to say, but now we do. He's also not an expert.
Go on to, I'm forgetting which platform it was, where he said, it's the first thing I thought was it
Rob
looked like,
O'Neill is the man that killed Osama bin
yeah,
Laden.
and I think he's qualified to say what he believes he saw. We should actually, since they're pulling clips, we should run that clip of Rob O'Neill and what he said and what he observed and his experience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that. And also there were people who immediately spoke to the media that day who said the same thing, that they thought that something happened under his shirt. That was actually, if you go back to like my first episode, when I was just observing what I saw with my eyes, I was asking the serious question. I was seriously saying, why is it like somebody shot him from underneath? Why is his shirt moving first? It doesn't make sense to me. And
That's because of air dispersal from the bullet. So whenever a bullet is shot, a projectile shot.
Okay, so the thing with this shirt that I don't understand why they're being so weird about it, and they have for a while, is because they've slowed the video down, right? So we all saw the video, or most of us did. I saw it when very shortly after it happened, just scrolling X. He's hit, right? And then it takes a few seconds before the wound shows up because all this is going on. I mean, it's all in a split second, but the way that they slowed down the video, it makes it seem like there's a shock wave, right? And disbursement with the shirt, and the neck expands and all that. And then you see the wound and the blood pour. Okay, because that's cavitation. So the shock wave kind of happens with the camera because we don't have whatever those like high speed cameras are. If we had one of those, we'd actually be able to see what's going on much better. But because of the camera frame rate, we're not seeing like everything like exactly properly, right? So the shock wave kind of happens and everything ripples and moves because of this high powered shock wave, and your body is elastic with water liquid, and so it like expands and moves like this, and so they're all hung up on this nonsense. But yeah,
you can actually run this experiment yourself if you have a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Take like an empty box of ammunition and put it on the table, and then fire it near the muzzle, and that box will actually blow off the table.
Okay, so question for you: does that box go sideways off the table?
It can.
It can.
Yeah, it can. It depends on the dispersal.
You 3,000 pounds of energy or 2,000 pounds of energy coming at you. That's how much it carries.
Well, it's not
30-06.
2,000 pounds of energy.
We can fact check that. How many pounds of energy is it? A 30-06 being shot 150 yards away. That's a great question for Grok. I'm going to say when we looked at it, it was between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm pretty sure pounds of energy coming at you, and you just go upward and to the side. I don't really buy that. I'm going to just say I just think that that's not possible. It doesn't go through on top of that. So there's another miracle. You didn't get blown backwards. It didn't go through. But I also want to say that you're saying this can happen, and Rob O'Neill is infinitely more qualified, I think, to speak on that.
Why?
And because he's actually shot and killed people.
Why would that have anything to do with anything?
Because
did he slow down all the videos of the people?
When he shot and killed people, like that's what I was about to say. Did he like slow? Did he take video of it at a 30 frame per second and then slow it down to see what their clothing did?
He shot to see if their clothes moved.
Well, why are you able to assert your position as
because I'm gonna tell you how projectiles work. He's not even gonna I guarantee you this guy's not even gonna disagree with what I'm about to say. If it is the case that you have energy and you have mass, and the mass is moving in the air has to go somewhere. It doesn't have a choice.
I think you're totally BSing right now, man.
Not only am I not BSing, I'm telling you the truth.
Candace Owens doesn't believe in air dispersal. She doesn't know how air can be moved. Oh my God. Okay, so this actually tracks because she didn't know that thunder was the sound of lightning, which lightning is like affecting the air and heating it up and causing a shock wave through the air, and that is what we hear as thunder. So this actually tracks why she doesn't believe in air dispersal.
If a bullet is moving in air has to move out of way of bullet.
But maybe not at the bottom of a shirt here. I don't know. I disagree with that. I'd like to say for the record, I've watched some of you do these sorts of things where you assert something with a lot of confidence, and you
can fact check it.
Your
shirt, if bullets displace air.
Not about whether it displaces air, it's where it disperses the air. Underneath his shirt here.
It's not underneath the shirt.
A bullet's this big, and you're telling me it's going to hit his neck,
Candace,
and then
it's not underneath the shirt. It starts
puffs
up here, and the collar's moving, and then you see the wave here as he's moving backwards.
No.
Yeah,
that's not true.
It's not.
And we obviously can't show that clip. I disagree with you.
Okay, I understand you can't show it for TOS purposes.
Exactly. I disagree with you. People can go watch and make up their own minds. We don't need to debate it. Whether or not that was the first thing I said was, why is his shirt moving first? That didn't make sense to me. It almost looks just like this. It goes across. His necklace breaks first before Charlie even reacts. If you watch it in slow, his necklace breaks first, which I thought was very odd. And then you see a puff here. And then the next thing you know, there's the entry wound on his neck. I would not confidently assert that I see smoke. I've never said it on my
Do you
platform.
think that an explosion generally has smoke?
I don't think that there's any quality version of video that would get us to be able to answer that question other than Terrell's 4K footage that he has from the front. So
there's a lot of, if you look at the Israeli.
How can you see all the other stuff then? If the quality is that bad that you can't see smoke in an explosion, how can you see all the other stuff that you're saying that you see?
Pagers, it's assumed that it's a similar, if not the same type of explosive that was used inside the pagers that would have been used inside of this road mic.
I think that you should, since you love debating, you should debate someone like John Bray, who's worked on that theory for 11 months and ask those sorts of questions of how a shaped charge would work. I presented the evidence of what was in the car. And I also, at that episode that you're clipping, said John Bray has done an unbelievable amount of work on this.
Mhm.
And I think he has debated a ton of people actually regarding this topic. So that's the route that I would send you on. For
Yeah, that's fine. That's
for the purpose of my show,
Mhm.
I do believe, to answer your question, that it is a hypothetical. I mean, that it is a theory that should be thoroughly explored.
There's two clips your team wants to show. One of them is the Rob O'Neill clip, since we're on it. So if you guys are ready in the back before we go to ad break, if you want to pull it up, this is a good time to do so.
Another ad break.
And good to see you, General Holt.
You too.
A lot of things bother bothers me about this. Nothing in particular. And it's not like I'm out there saying big lie or conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started doing first aid to Charlie Kirk, they were more concerned about getting SIM cards out of cameras, removing cameras, and then getting him off the X somehow. There didn't seem a lot of concern for his life. It seemed like just clean it up, and then I'm
Like, none of that is even true. He's just this. Oh my God. Everyone is just slowly becoming like psychotic, asshole, crazy, loony bin nutsos, just like one by one by one by one.
been told they paved it over a couple days later. And then you get Erica Kirk behind all the razzle dazzle, and she's really quick to forgive the alleged shooter, which technically says that was him because I forgive him, but that you can't forgive Candace Owens for having an opinion or asking questions. And they mock people by saying, "Oh, I'm just asking questions." Yeah, I'm a SEAL Team 6 sniper. I'm asking a lot of questions. No one wants to answer them.
And you're able to ask.
He's actually said very little about the explosive there. So
I'm
he
just saying he observed, he said he's shot people up close
Yeah.
and he's never seen a shirt
No
move
dispute.
like that. And it looked to him like an explosive. That's
no,
what he
no
just
dispute,
said.
but when I play that video at full speed, I can't see a shirt moving. I can only see a shirt moving when we slow it way down. So if I'm in real time, I'm just assuming this, right? I mean, if I was in real time and I was in like a close quarters combat, you kill somebody situation, and I shot them, would you even see the shirt move?
Well, I just feel like 5 minutes ago, you were arguing that it was because the bullet carried air. Now you're saying you don't see the shirt move at all.
Yeah, but that's, if you slow it down, the disbursement of air, that's where you're going to see it, right? It's going to be very quick, very, 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 very fast.
Yeah,
and then
that's
over.
not what I saw. And clearly it's not what he saw. And he thinks that there could be an explosive. So I'm just saying to you,
When you,
people disagree with you. Your
Yeah.
opinion's not a fact. That's all.
I
I
understand.
think that's a good place for us to, if we have another break and then we can keep answering your questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. We'll do a quick 3.5 minute ad break.
Okay, so Candace Owens gets to make $300,000 for this debate, and then she also gets to run ads, and so does PDBD. And it was estimated that that's probably about $30,000 per ad read, per ad read. So, or per ad that's played. So I'm also gonna run an ad for myself and for my channel because, you know, I work a lot. I do a lot of work on this channel. I, you know, put in a lot of work. So if people want to support me, they can too. So why don't I run my own ad? Let's hear from my sponsor, shall we? Okay, so my sponsor is myself, and I have a hub where there are 3 ways to support my channel. And that link will be in the description, but it is also the-eclectic-journalist-shop.4th spelled out wall.com. Okay, so here is my hub. So this is where you can join my community to help support my channel, and we can do all kinds of fun stuff in my community area. here is some of my featured products. So when you subscribe to my channel, you actually save me from alien abduction from the YouTube gods who work in mysterious ways, who are constantly threatening me with alien abduction if I do not get my subscribers up. And I have all kinds of collections. Here's Eclectic Aliens. I have mushroom designs, stickers. So there's all kinds of like just really cool designs in here that I've made. So I didn't want it to just be my logo, you know? I wanted it to be something people would like actually want to wear. Okay, then I have a way for you to donate down here at the bottom. You can click here and you can ask me a question, leave me a donation, and there's several ways to pay, as you can see here: PayPal, Amazon, Cash App, credit card, and I receive 100% of these donations. So it's a good way to support the channel, where all the money will go to my channel rather than just like 30% if you pay through YouTube, which I do have super thanks available, but they will take 30%. Okay, so merch, join the community, or donate. And you can also support my channel by liking, commenting, and definitely subscribing. Thank you so much for your support.
All right, fantastic. So, Andrew, if you want to go with your last couple thoughts.
Yeah, so I just have two more clips to play.
Okay.
Right, and then we can do final thoughts. I'm guessing. I feel like we got where we were trying to go, or at least for the most part. So the two other clips, I do want to play the Twigs clip. That one is important to me, the Twigs DNA clip.
Yeah.
And they're going to pull it up just to have you respond
Well,
to it.
you don't have to play it, because like if you're saying that when I initially watched it, I thought that Lance Twigs' DNA, like he was directly responding to that, because the testimony was a bit confusing. They started by saying that they were going to like explaining how they got the samples, and they said Lance, Matt, and Amber Robinson, how they got their DNA samples. And then they started speaking about the gun and said, you know, multiple prints were found on them. And then they moved and they said Lance Twigs' DNA was found on the screwdriver. When I went back and rewatched it, I realized, well, they haven't officially said that Lance or Amber are on the gun. So I think I've already conceded that we don't know that. So I think like, but if you want to play the
this
clip
is directly you saying it is on the gun. Twigs' DNA
I'm saying
is
that
on
I
the
feel
gun.
like I've already said to you, like I've made that concession. But just to be clear, whenever I make a mistake, I just correct it. So that's why when you were asking me 3 times, I've already said we don't know yet, and I've corrected that mistake. So if the purpose of you showing this is to demonstrate that Candace makes mistakes sometimes when she's taking in a lot of information and she's reading through legal documents and she's trying to remember 9-hour testimony.
It's to demonstrate something else. It is, in fact, the case. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to make mistakes.
And I've already
You're going to make mistakes on the case.
Yeah.
But in this case, you were very adamant that his DNA was on the gun itself.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it's not ruled out. We know that there's 5+ prints. I've said this so many times. I had to rewatch the testimony again. It's like 9 hours a day. It got very scientific when they were speaking about this. And I think I wrongly extrapolated that they meant all 3 of them were on the prints, when the only person they officially named was Matt Robinson. So we don't know yet if Lance Twigs has his DNA on the prints, DNA on the gun officially just yet.
Okay.
I've already conceded that.
Sure.
So
that's fine. And then the last one is one with Erica Kirk.
Sure. This is like the Erica Kirk. All right,
Well,
Erica, you could just sit down with me, Erica, but we can do it this way.
This goes back to a previous claim that you made.
Yeah,
by
sure.
bringing it up.
She did sit down with you, Candace. She sat down with you, and then you proceeded to call her a liar and a murderer. Like, oh my God.
Straight to jail, For questioning, at least, Erica. I don't care who's mad. I really do not care who wants to be upset after this episode. Really, you'll be wasting your breath. You can spend $1 billion on influencers, because this is all becoming increasingly inexplicable. You are asking me to be an idiot, actually, and I cannot do that for you. Someone once commented beneath this show that if the situations were reversed and there were this many verifiable lies.
So straight to jail?
Yeah, so that's a show intro, and straight to jail is a monopoly term.
Okay.
Like, you know,
so do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not collect $200.
Yes, it's obviously tongue in cheek. And then we explain that actually I think that she should be brought in for questioning because of inconsistencies. So this is the exact episode when I started to think that she should be sat down and questioned. And I still believe that. I still hold the perspective that Erica should be sat down and she should be properly questioned.
Do you know that she hasn't been?
No, actually, that would be a great thing for the spokesperson of Turning Point USA to say that she's already.
Yeah, why do they?
I mean, my guess would be she hasn't because they returned everything to her.
Yeah.
But
why do they owe you that though? Why
they don't owe me anything. That's my show you're watching. Just the clips that you're pulling are from my show. So if I want to say something on my show, I can say that. I didn't say they owe me something. I don't think that's ever.
You can, but if you say like you need to be sat down for questioning and you don't even know if they haven't been, that's strange, right?
Do you know if they have been?
No, I have no idea. So
you're just saying, what if?
Okay, I don't know why she's being so like defensive about the things that she has said about Erica. I find it really interesting. But let's see all the stuff she said about Erica, or at least a majority of it. If I can find it. So this is proof Candace Owens very clearly accused Erica Kirk of killing Charlie Kirk. Now, this is Milk Bar TV compilation, Nathan Livingstone, who I absolutely adore. He's a wonderful content creator where he uses people's own words to show their grifty, lying weirdness, and he does a really great job. So I will leave this linked below, and please do go give him a subscribe. And also he is fighting a court case because Andrew Tate is suing him and a bunch of other creators. So if you enjoy his work, please do donate to that donation drive.
Amount of evidence that is now piling up against Erica Kirk. I've seen enough. Erica Kirk should be dragged into a police precinct. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of. Turning Point USA for Erica Kirk, and what I think is fair to refer to as their federal accomplices. Anyways, back at headquarters, I am told it's business as usual. And it's kind of giving me like, I don't know, LBJ when he gets sworn in that famous picture. Unfortunately, sworn in. Unfortunately, of course, he's sad in this photo. Gosh, he's obviously not wanting to be the president of the United States. JFK was shot and killed. And now LBJ has to step up, unfortunately. But I gotta be honest, I wasn't there. I don't think LBJ was actually that upset. JFK, right? Knowing, as I do, and as Charlie did believe that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds, because she loved Charlie. She loved him like Lyndon Baines Johnson loved JFK. No time to grieve. She needed to be sworn in as the new leader before his body was even cold. She's a grieving widow. And she's forced to assume his role and reverse everything that he did, like LBJ did after JFK's death. Malevolence. I continue to underscore what Elizabeth Lane, the reporter, stated in her post, that in her opinion, Erica Kirk exhibits the attributes of a psychopath, that Erica Kirk might be a psychopath. Erica Kirk is a psychopath. A psychopath is the best answer that I can come up with, my assessment that she's a psychopath. Erica Kirk, and to continue to pretend that anything she has done is normal, to pretend and act like she is a grieving widow when she is anything but. She plots behind the scenes. She sends people to fall on the sword for her. She's more akin to Cersei Lannister. This woman was not actually a grieving widow. She wasn't a grieving widow. That actually, one could argue that she may have even been a psychopath for doing this, being able to do this after she killed her husband. Do you know how they built that case? People who actually cared about Eric and offered various details, and to the point that, well, none of these points in various details about how Erica is grieving would ever survive in the court of law. Ironically, in this case against Corey Richins, for which she was ultimately found guilty, the prosecutors played the 911 call and said explicitly that it didn't sound like a grieving widow.
The first minute is not the sound.
Yeah, prosecutors do that all the time, of course. Like they're telling a story, and so they're going to do that.
Of a wife becoming a widow. To echo her friend Chelsea Barney, the first minute is the sound of a wife becoming a black widow.
She's not grieving, right? She sounds like she's become a black widow, not a widow, and to refuse some foregone conclusion that spouses simply would never have a hand in the murder of one another, which actually flies in the face of reality. Something is off. People who were willing to stand up and do what you guys describe as immoral or evil and demanding a further investigation when nothing makes sense. And so what I would say is, here is what I know. Grieving widows do not lie about threats that their husbands were facing the night before their deaths. They don't lie about that stuff. Grieving widows do not make up quotations that the surgeon never said about a Superman neck to manage PR, least of all on the day that they're burying their husbands.
That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. That is her being coached and sent to delude the public into believing that there was more and it wasn't so clear cut when she knew that it wasn't. Evil. That's evil. Hunter showed more emotion in an hour and a half talking about crack than Erica has in 8 months. Yeah, I saw a lot of comments like that, that it's crazy that you're seeing more emotion and character out of Hunter Biden than you are seeing from the, the wife of the Black Widow, the CEO. I think Erica is calculated. And I want to say to JD Vance, you better wake up fast, okay? That's a Black Widow, my friend. She's not grieving right. She sounds like she's become the Black Widow, not a widow. The Black Widow. That's a Black Widow, my friend. You will get bit.
Okay, I mean, that's just, it's so disgusting. It's so vile. It's so evil what she's been doing to Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk's friends and Charlie Kirk's legacy that he built up in his company. It's just, that's why I'm like going to literally watch the Lindsay Clancy trial of all things to get away from this. That's what I'm going to go clear my brain with, which is crazy, but yeah, I can't. It's just so, it makes me physically ill and sick. Like when I see it and think about it, and it hurts my heart. And
If they haven't been,
Yeah, if your
you're just kind of
entire
filling the air.
if your
with
entire thing
just
is
junk.
no, it's not junk. If the query is, why is it that Erica Kirk's not being sat down for questioning, but you have absolutely no knowledge whether or not she's been sat down for questioning or not, what that does is it creates an innuendo. It creates an inference. It creates out to the ethos that this should be happening because something's wrong here, when you actually don't have the knowledge that anything's wrong at all.
I just think that my opinion is that she should be sat down and questioned.
But you're not sure if she hasn't been.
Yeah, and you're not sure if she has been either. So, like I said, I feel like now you're just kind of filling the
Well,
air
to
with
my
nonsense,
knowledge,
because
this
turning
is
points
the-
like we want.
well, he's not demanding that she should be. So that's a complete, like, he's not saying she should be.
To my
Make
knowledge,
sure that you go in there and
nobody-
you defend Erica. And I have to say, I don't think you've done an extraordinary job
Great,
at that.
but I'm not here to defend Erica. The thing is, though,
I've
is
been saying
like,
that since 4 out of 5 of the clips that you
Yeah.
had on the ready when we asked you guys ahead of time. I mean, I want to just assert how professionally we have dealt with this debate. As you can see, we have not planned any gotcha clips for Andrew. I expressed to him that what we were going to do was just to use people for fact checks, and because I might not remember something, or I do remember something and you're saying no, and that is what I think will register to people as very
well, wait,
fair.
I expressed
We
these-
did not take out
wait,
of
what?
context clips of Andrew
But
to
I
try to
expressly said
please
that
don't
I
cut
was
me
going to
off.
bring
We
claims,
did not.
right?
No, when you said you were going to bring claims
Your
that you want me to
claims.
speak to, you didn't say I intend on sitting you down with out of contexted clips to which we said to you before in an email. Any clips that you want to share with us, send it
Mhm.
over. Let's assert a debate claim so that we can both be ready to respond to it. This just
That's not really what happened.
well. What didn't
Yeah,
happen?
this the way that you're framing the exchange,
What
that's
do you
not
mean?
that's not actually what happened. We were negotiating. It is true, we negotiated out the claim itself, right? Which one's going to take which position. I wanted to make sure that I had at least an hour and a half on mine, and you got the time for yours to question me. We did. We got through your hour and a half on mine, roughly an hour and a half now on mine. That's basically how this went.
But in the beginning, I did not take an hour and a half to just pull out of context clips with Andrew. I actually debated the substance of what's going on in this trial and this hearing, and I do think that you fell short of that.
There's nothing
And you-
out of. Hang on.
And
There's
I did
nothing
not
here
say,
except
I'm
holding
just
you to
going to
account
get you
for your
to say yes
claims.
or no. Well, hold on. We
Yeah.
were supposed to be debating the case
This
and
is
whether
part
or
of the
not
case.
there was overwhelming evidence.
These are your claims about the case.
No, you then admitted that now you're getting into another sphere and you want to talk about the transcendentals and things that I've
And we
said.
got through.
And like 4
yeah.
out of 5 of your clips are about Erica Kirk. So the general
I don't think
perception
4 out of 5 even
is
were.
your turning points horse.
Oh,
I
so you
think
just-
quite a
just- you
few of
just-
them were.
you
Was
just-
there 3
just made it
Ericas
up?
or 4?
So you just making stuff
Can
up?
we get a count of how many were about Erica? I feel
I
like
think it was
Yeah.
3.
3.
Three.
Okay,
Yeah,
3. I
three.
said 4.
But those are extraordinary
sorry.
claims. That's which is why you're asking
Okay,
about them,
well,
right?
okay, but the point being is now you're veering into trying to get me to defend my opinions, and then you completely shirk responsibility
They're
when I point
claims.
out yours. No, they're not claims. When
No,
you
they're
tweet Erica
claims.
is too retarded, you go, that's just whatever, and then you move
That's
on.
a claim
Uh,
that and I'm responsible for the claim.
Well, earlier when I brought it up, you said that it was tongue in cheek.
Yes, sure. That's me responding to your criticism
Okay.
of the claim. That's all I'm doing here.
I was interested, and
And I'm happy to get into also the Patsy stuff now, if you'd like to.
well,
Your
that
team
was
has one more
supposed
clip
to
they
be
want to
the
play
whole
one
from
more.
7 days
Okay,
ago.
sorry.
They got one
They
more
had
clip.
to.
and
We
then
were
can
getting
go
into
to
the Patsy stuff, and you stopped it, and I was explaining to you. Oh, they have one more clip. Okay, let's go.
She is not happy about that.
They want to hit the minimum of 4 clips you were saying with Erica. So,
100%.
This is absurd.
okay. And this is the one you're saying from 7 days ago. Okay. While they're looking for that, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
ask a question? I know it's been, or like, can I ask a question? Or are we
Not
just in
really. I'm just
Okay.
we're going to hold to the actual contract itself.
the contract does not say that you are allowed to just question me without me being able to respond to you
I've never said you
or
can't
have
respond.
a conversation.
You've been able to respond to every question I've asked you. And by the way, the other thing is like
Let's have
I'm
it your
still-
way. I want it to look like
Still happy
we've
to have
done
the
everything
debate.
Andrew wanted to, so that people can fairly assess the situation. So you have it your way. I
Totally
will not
fine.
ask a question.
Totally fair with me.
So are you good with her asking a question or
He
no?
said no.
Waiting for the clip.
Okay. So you want to wait for the clip first. Okay. You guys have it in the back? Okay, beautiful.
You need the
your
Jeopardy
team
thing.
told me they had it. So
That's what I heard. Okay, there we
come
go.
on, guys.
Did this crime. Okay. Because Lance
I can't hear
Twiggs
this. My
has his
thing went off. Just
DNA
tell me when
on the
it's done.
towel.
It's fine.
Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the rifle.
Lance Twiggs
And to be
has his
clear,
DNA on the
Lance
rifle.
Twiggs'
This- we said this 4 times,
was
but I don't
not
know why they feel
as
like they need
degraded
to-
as Tyler Robinson's DNA was on Tyler's rifle. It's Tyler's rifle.
Oh, you
but
also
Lance's
said, yeah, it's
DNA
not as degraded on the rifle.
Yeah, because I thought he was one of the things. But I've already that's what I mean when I say that. Like, it just seems like you're not actually here trying to engage. Because even before you got to this, and I knew that you had some secret clip planned, I said to you when I rewatched the testimony, I realized that they didn't explicitly say Lance Twiggs. They said 5 other profiles were on it, and that his was the most degraded. So I hope your team feels fulfilled in playing that. Is there any more? I'm happy to play every clip that he has on the ready. Anybody?
You said you had some new evidence at the beginning of the.
Oh yeah,
debate
we should
you had
show that
something
text
new.
message that you
Did
read,
you
just
want to
because
share
I
that?
think that's important for the public. You shared it out of context,
I'll do it on my show. I'll share the
so
text
you're going to
message.
read it on my show, but not show it.
Correct. So
Okay.
I'll show it on my show, but that's what I'll do. I'll show it on my
Can
show.
I ask why?
Well, because I want to drip out the evidence. You know, that's got to drip out that evidence, keep people coming back for the show, right?
I don't know if snark serves you so well.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I'll release it there. Yeah, that's my intention. But yeah, I'm fine with closings if you want to do closings.
Well, I also would just, if I may ask a question, is that permitted?
Go ahead.
Just so I also have clarity, since your basis has been evidentiary, you keep saying that you have evidence or like you are following evidence. Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I think is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah. Can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But I
Can you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not following
Is that
the
it?
case.
That's the
Yeah.
question. You're
Yeah,
just
but-
not
but, I mean,
following it
seems,
enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty. I just think that you should.
All
Like,
right.
Can you tell me one
Then let's do the
charge
counter.
that he's?
You can really, yeah, this is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put me
yeah.
in the hot seat. So
Mhm.
please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Can
Name
you
all
name-
7
can
since
you-
you've been following the case.
Okay, sure. You
Go
name
ahead.
you name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like.
Name all 7.
And I.
Can you
I
name
think
all 7?
Okay, so she is going to say that he's actually not charged with murder. He's charged with aggravated murder. And that is actually completely misrepresentation, completely false. He is charged with murder. That's the main charge. Then the aggravating factors make it aggravated murder, which then ups it to a capital offense. But in the elements of that charge, aggravated murder in the first degree is the thing. So for example, if the aggravating charges are not bound over by the judge, then without having to refile anything, without having to do nothing, the murder in the first degree is just on there. Like, that's what it is. So he is charged with murder. So her saying that's not actually what he's charged with is actually like so crazy and such a misunderstanding of the law or how things works. It's crazy. And to say to him, like, oh, you just said it was murder, which is not actually what it was since it got you. It's all just so silly and ridiculous.
I
Then
can't.
do it.
Sure, you don't have to
Do
put
it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
you don't have
Name
to put
'em.
your fingers up. I can
Okay,
do
I'll
that.
name them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay.
a death
So
sentence in the
murder.
state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not murder.
Okay.
And so
Next.
just for people, no, don't. I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just
Literally not murder. Literally not murder. It is literally murder. That is literally what it is. Like,
to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined,
Just
and because
avoiding
it
the
carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work,
Yeah.
and you'll be better the next time you debate
I got
someone.
it. I got it. Give me the other ones.
The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No,
people
I just
don't walk
want you
away?
to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm
tell
going to
me
say
them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I
Okay,
actually
well,
am
I
under
got
no
one.
time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
that is not the charge. The charge is not a felony discharge of a weapon. A weapon can be like anything, a crossbow, whatever. The charge is a felony discharge of a firearm that causes grievous bodily harm. Okay, because you can also get a charge where you shoot off a firearm and you hurt no one and it go like you're shooting it off in the air. That's another charge. So she actually didn't say that. Right. If she's going to nitpick the aggravated murder one.
Next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And
What's
final,
the specific charges though?
that is them. Obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those?
of justice, witness tampering, witness tampering.
Okay, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged with it.
just the charges and then 7.
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder. You just say aggravated murder. That's the distinction. You just want to
It's a massive. It's
Got
like
it.
you cannot
Massive.
say murder versus aggravated
massive
murder.
distinction.
This gets to the entire crux of why him being up for the death sentence. And I actually find the defense's filing about why this is not aggravated to be very compelling of why it's not aggravated murder. I actually think that the state was going to even try to pull this off. They should have charged him with just murder. And then I do also, again, want to stress to audiences.
He is charged with just murder. Like, he is charged with murder. If they were going to try to pull this off, he should have just been charged with murder. What is she talking about? This is, like I said, if the aggravating factors do not get bound over, he will be charged with just murder and nothing will change about their case or anything. He will get bound over for first-degree murder.
That debate strategy of thinking that you have to speak faster or somebody puts your hand up and they try to pretend like it's some sport. I think he thinks it's a blood sport. It's not. It's about being right and being principled when you're engaging. And you can make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, but at least be genuine in pretending that you care about this case enough to know one of the 7 charges that are up against Tyler Robinson when you say the evidence is overwhelming that he's guilty. If you would like to move to final statements, I'm fine. I want to make sure Andrew has had the time that he has requested.
I think your team would like to pull up the 7 charges that he just asked you about. If you
Sure.
guys want to pull that up just to confirm the 7 you went through. Can you guys zoom in a little bit for
Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, which is counts 3 and 4, 5 and 6, tampering with a witness, and count 7,
violent
a set offense in the presence of a
in front
minor.
of the child?
Yeah.
That's what
So
I said.
5, 6, tampering witness, 3rd-degree felony. Now, I did notice something. I just was curious about. If I'm just wondering, when you pulled out your phone just before you asked that question, did somebody by chance text you that question?
You can check my phone.
I'm just curious.
No, you can absolutely not. I have not had one communication
Okay.
with a single person, not even my producers who are in there this whole time we were here. You want to check my phone? I'm happy to do it because you're just going to get double embarrassed. Where's my phone?
You want to
should
see
do
it?
I'm just
You can.
curious. Yeah.
You can literally do that. Here you go. PBD, you're the moderator.
Okay.
Take it.
Let's see
See
it.
if anyone was texted at all during this debate
All right.
about the violent charges or anything.
I'm looking through this. You give me permission.
You
so I'm
have
looking
full
I'm not gonna
permission to
give
go through my
names.
phone. I don't need to
So
cheat.
the last one has nothing to do with it. It's just a compliment.
Mhm.
I haven't even read my text messages.
That's
So
a compliment.
he's reading them.
You're okay. You'll give me permission. I'm
Yes.
just going to read 311
Yes.
to 1132 because after that, I don't need to read it.
Any other text? Could have been Telegram. Could have been something.
All I
like
have
that.
is Signal. You can check that too. I only have Signal. Telegram I used in Russia, and that was it. I downloaded for
I'll
Russia.
take your word for it.
Yeah.
Then-
I don't need to like. I
Okay.
deeply care about this case. I don't need to
I
pretend
get
to
it.
know
If you
stuff that
deeply
I
care
don't
about the
know.
case, I
Yeah.
just, I have my other question is about the steakhouse receipt.
You just said that you were done asking all your
Nothing. So
questions.
yeah, nothing there.
There. I don't
Yeah. Do you
want
have
to
the
do that.
steakhouse receipt? Is my question.
I have said several times that I have never said I have the receipt for the steakhouse. I have said the person who's working on that story is going to be forthcoming with the receipt. And that was what I was responding to. And he then dropped the receipt. He redacted elements of it. And I said, stay tuned. He's the one working on that story.
Okay. So you
I never-
haven't actually confirmed that Robinson was at that steakhouse.
All I did, as I said earlier in this conversation, was I spoke to the owner when I broke that story. I think it was back in January. I spoke to the owner, understood what had happened, and that there was a receipt. That's it. That's the extent of what I shared is what happened.
Okay. So to be clear, there's no receipt. You
No,
don't-
I just said the opposite. I said there's
well,
a
you
receipt.
don't have a copy of the receipt.
The receipt was published online.
Yeah. Right. With blurred
The
out.
person working on this story
Yeah.
that blurred that out
Mhm.
is what I was referring to when I said stay tuned and keep following his stuff, because he went to go do what I hadn't done, which was he interviewed the actual server.
So there's no evidence that Tyler was at that steakhouse.
I would say the receipt with his debit card number, it would be some hard evidence if that
I
is-
agree with that,
Yeah,
but-
so that's it. But you're questioning me.
But is there, as of right now,
He paid. If you're asking me, did he pay with a credit or debit card? The answer is yes.
No. Is there proof that that was actually his debit card that he paid with?
I think you should follow the person that is behind that story.
Well,
It's
the
more
reason I'm
something
asking
about-
you is because you always include it in your timeline that he traveled to the steakhouse.
Yeah, we've been building a timeline with things that we
Mhm.
feel are
But is there any actual
Utah 1102
evidence?
approved. I think speaking
Yeah.
to the owner, knowing that there's a receipt, seeing the
Mhm.
receipt is good enough to put on our timeline.
But the receipt itself,
She's acting like her investigation is the same as what the state put on because it was all under 1102. It wasn't, but that's what she's saying. Whereas 1102 is reliable hearsay. None of the stuff she has is reliable hearsay.
the question I always had about it is, couldn't you just call the merchant? Like if I've ever had a merchant account, I just
Mhm.
call the merchant
Well-
account processor and say, what's the name on this?
Yeah, I would stay tuned. I feel that having spoken to the owner, that the evidence is compelling enough to put onto my personal timeline of what took place on that day. That's where it's going to stay. And if it gets debunked, I'm happy to take it off. If
Mhm.
that's what you mean, that's how an investigation works. Like I said, I did more than enough. It would definitely pass the test by the Utah 1102 rule.
No,
For sure, for certain.
To be submitted as hearsay.
Yeah, beyond that, because they
Yeah,
didn't even
but-
have receipts. They were like, Bob told
But the
me this.
question is, the receipt itself, it has not been verified to have been Tyler
Yeah, I just want to
Robinson's,
say you're
right?
holding me to a higher standard than you are.
I'm not even holding it.
in
I'm
the
just
prosecution.
asking specifically.
Yeah, I've been very forthcoming. I told exactly
Mhm.
what happened. I spoke to the owner. I got the tip, and
So
I
should that be
chased
added
it down.
in an official timeline that
It's
you
in
give?
my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If
You
we
can
get
do what
something
you
wrong,
want, sure. But
Well, I
I'm
just wanted to
asking,
make sure.
should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson's?
yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should,
You don't think that falls
and then
under...
you should remove it if someone somehow debunks it. But I think that there is very strong evidence that is where he was, and that
What's the
is-
strong evidence? Just the two people who said that they saw him?
You know, I'm actually all good with being. I feel like
Okay.
I've sufficiently answered your question about how I got
All
the
right, fair
information, what happened next, with the next stage of this investigation being somebody accessing knowing what his debit card was and confirming it. Yes, and I do believe that will happen. If it does not happen and it gets debunked, I'll remove it from my personal timeline that I share on my show.
That officer, the first officer that was up on the roof,
Mhm.
do you remember his name?
Officer Bagley,
Yeah, what was his first name?
Christopher.
Christopher. When Christopher got up on the roof, you talk a lot about how his camera died.
Well, he talked a lot about that during
Yeah,
the
about his
preliminary
camera
hearing.
died.
Yeah.
Do you think that he planted that screwdriver up there?
No,
Who do you think planted it?
if we're just going on am I allowed to have an opinion?
Of course.
At this stage, I would say that I don't buy his assertion on the stand that he didn't check to see if anybody went onto the rooftop before he got up there. I do think that it's possible, it's at least plausible that the screwdriver was planted. I don't believe him. What I can say strongly is that his cam died at just the right time. His body cam died at just the right time. I think that, as you were just grilling me about whether or not I had got the merchant receipt for a debit card, that kind of makes difficult that we just have to sort of trust that a screwdriver was found and we don't have any should be evidence of a police body cam. But like I said, you accept that stuff and then are like, did you call the merchant and get like, it just seems like you
Well, I'm not adding.
hold,
I'm
like
not
I said,
adding
you
this
hold the
to
prosecution to
Well,
a
wait a
state to a
second.
bit higher standard
I'm
than
not
you do to
adding
people.
unconfirmed evidence to an official timeline that I'm putting out either.
What do you mean official timeline? This is my
Well, this is
timeline. I made it at home.
So then it would be official to your show?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So then your official timeline, Candace Owens' official timeline,
Yeah.
includes a steakhouse stop
Mhm.
that has not actually been confirmed at all.
Well, yeah, it hasn't even been discussed by the prosecution. So it's not like you're debunking that it happened.
Well, there's no evidence for it. There's no good evidence for it at all. There's no camera there. And the steakhouse receipt itself has never been confirmed to be Tyler Robinson's.
I'm assuming this is just like a talking point they gave you and you got to like keep pushing this, or like
I've been following it very closely on X.
the receipt. You weren't even following the charges of Tyler Robinson, but you really wanted to know. I've been following it very closely on X.
Wait,
I'm calling owners of steakhouses and having a conversation. You're following Congo on X.
I literally followed the entire trial or the preliminary live. I was live with an attorney. We covered all of it. You think because I have a momentary or lapse where I'm like, oh, it's murder? No, it's aggravated murder. Come on.
You didn't know any of the
That's
charges.
splitting
you
hairs.
No, that's not splitting. It means you didn't follow the preliminary hearing at all.
No, it doesn't
Like
mean
you
that
don't
at all.
know any of
That's
the charges
ridiculous.
that are against him when this is like getting literally to the crux, aggravated murder versus murder.
It's
a death
ridiculous.
sentence.
And not only that, let's point this out. One of the major things here is that this is your official timeline.
It's mine.
Yes. Who else could it be? Who else? It would be Candace
What's your
Owens'
issue?
I just don't know what his
What's your
issues with my time.
She is so determined to get the killer of her extremely good friend, Charlie Kirk, off. She just is not having that. That's what every good friend, like really, really good friend, if their friend ever dies, they immediately try to get their killer off and attack their family and wife. That's what every good friend does, of course.
What's your issue with that?
Well, so the issue is that the entirety of the evidence revolves around two people who claim that he was there and supposedly a receipt. There's supposedly a receipt where Tyler Robinson paid for his steak and his soft drink. No alcohol, right? No alcohol, right? Know nothing about the case. But anyway, this particular receipt, they could have called the merchant account, confirmed it, this type of thing. To date, this receipt has only the blurred information on it that would actually give you the information to confirm whose receipt it is. We have to date, nobody has confirmed that this was actually Tyler Robinson's receipt. And yet inside of Candace Owens' timeline, which she states over and over again, when she says, this is the longest 13 hours, this is 13 and a half hours, the requirement for about roughly 5.5 or 6 hours of that is that he went to the steakhouse. And that's not been confirmed at all. Not even a little bit.
I feel like saying that I spoke to the owner of the steakhouse is me, like not just being on X looking at opinions, but actually doing the legwork. And that's why like I said, if you think this builds up a rapport with your audience and makes you seem like a serious person, we don't.
I'm not going to look it up because I'm tired. But this owner has come out and made a statement that he doesn't believe it was Tyler Robinson and everything has been handed over to the authorities.
Have to keep belaboring the point here. I feel like I've demonstrated that I did as much as I could to confirm this when it came in. I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, obviously took down everything he said, noted that there was in fact a receipt that he pulled. That receipt that was published is real. A debit card and a credit card was used. If for some reason somebody misidentified something down the line,
How can he use a debit card and a credit card all at once? Sort of odd.
find out it's a different Tyler Robinson, I'm happy to remove it from my timeline. But for right now, I think that there's enough under the Utah 1102 rule for me to keep it there. I don't really think we need to keep going into circles about this receipt. It's my timeline.
I don't know why the 1102 rule would apply here for your
because
timeline.
You were constantly cite things that are said in that courtroom that have less evidentiary support than me contacting and speaking with the owner of the restaurant. It's not like I dreamed it, as to use your expression. So it's in my timeline, and I'm going to keep it there. If that's
sure,
cool.
You can keep whatever you want there.
Okay.
How does it have less evidentiary support than everything introduced at the trial or the preliminary hearing? Because I just, like, have none of these people ever watched a trial? Like, this is exactly what they do. This is like, they bring the cops on. The cops say what they saw. They explain the video evidence. They explain their investigation. They talk about their reports. Then they bring in the experts that talk about what they did. This is all just stuff that always happens at like a trial. I don't understand. So like no trials are legitimate ever. Like I'm legitimately confused why she keeps saying that there's no evidence and that there was very little evidentiary like stuff going on in this hearing when it was like nothing but evidence. Like, I don't know. It's bizarre.
Saying that there's no evidence he was ever there.
Okay, thank you. I think
No
I
hard
agree with
evidence
the point.
anyway. Yeah, I'm fine with closing.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to do before we go into ad break, right after this will be final thoughts. I'll be asking both of you if anything on your opinion, thoughts changed on the case, and then we'll finish it up from there. So with that being said, a 3.5 minute break, and then we'll come back for final thoughts. All right, we are finally at the end. For those of you that are watching it, maybe a good commentary for you would be the following on if you're a Andrew fan and you are still saying, you know what, Andrew's arguments were solid, great. Candace, great. But did anything change your mind? Did you watch and say, you know what, I had this position over here. This would be an interesting commentary to hear. And of course, for all the people that are watching, I was just whispering to them here before we wrap it up. I think whether you're a fan of Andrew or not, whether you're a fan of Candace or not, nobody can dispute the fact that these guys agreed to sit down and talk live. Others were thinking this was pre-recorded. This is not pre-recorded, just so everybody knows. This is purely live. This is a little bit scarier than pre-recorded because pre-recorded you can do edits. So whether you agree with them or not, let's make sure we respect both of them for having to sit down. And before the final thoughts, I want to make sure you guys hear that from me as well, for inviting me here as well.
Of course.
I do know one day, I think it was last week, you sent a message on one of our accounts. You said, can I talk to Patrick? We got on the call. You said, Patrick, can you moderate this? And then I said, great, let's do this. And so before we wrap up, final thoughts, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, she had nothing. Just nothing. For all of her claims of Patsy, nothing. She didn't have a single claim. She didn't have a single solid piece of evidence. She had no positive evidence. Israel's.
Okay, so actually, I don't know if this list is like complete because I kind of zoned out that I was keeping a list, but what I have is the degraded prints. Okay, it's not prints, it's DNA on the trigger and the trigger guard means Patsy, and that it was obviously put in the woods by someone else. The entire hearing was hearsay, so that means that he's a Patsy. The shoe, so the idea that they recognized him in the very beginning, the initial part, by his shoes is evidence that he is a Patsy. The backpack being found and then decided it was no evidentiary value means he's a Patsy. And Erica Kirk coming out and saying she believes that the state had the right guy, that also means that he is a Patsy. So that's what I have for her claims that he is a Patsy.
Involved in anything. No positive evidence that France is involved in anything. No positive evidence TPUSA is involved in anything. No positive evidence that Erica Kirk is involved in anything. When I asked her about her claims about Erica Kirk, yeah, it was just funning. It's just funning, you know? Or, yeah, I do think that she needs to sit down and ask some questions, but or answer some questions. But you know what? I don't even know if she has. Like, maybe she has. I have no idea. Yes, I'm going to have an official timeline with unconfirmed evidence. That's just fine. Hey, it's hearsay. If that's good enough for the state, it's good enough for me. But my biggest problem with the state is that they're admitting all this hearsay. It's like she's a contradiction machine. On top of all of this, the thing that I wanted to get out of this more than anything else was to just demonstrate one thing. Yes, it's true. I'm not perfect on the case. I'm not going to ever pretend that I am, and never did. But what has been made very clear to me is that there's nobody with an alternative theory that has any evidence for it at all. None. Zero. And the continuous kind of expression, we're running an investigation. What kind of investigation builds a timeline out on a receipt that they don't even confirm? What kind of investigation tries to make these bold claims that Israel's involved and France is involved and all these different players are involved and never shows any evidence? We're just asking questions. It's again, like I said in my opening, it's always intuition, my feelings, how I feel about things, how I think about things. Andrew, how many times did you hear this today? Andrew, you can't tell me how I'm supposed to think. Yeah, nobody's trying to tell you how to think. But you should rationally come to your conclusions based on evidence and facts. And the truth is that 90% of what you're saying is simply intuition based. It came to me in a dream. It's intuition. Almost none of it has any evidence at all. Just, I'm skeptical because these people over here said things and that makes me skeptical. And it's like, but no evidence. Note this to the audience, to everybody watching. You might hate my guts. That's fair enough. I get that. I'm not the most likable man. I understand that too. But there was nothing. I mean, no evidence at all that Tyler Robinson was a Patsy that was ever put forward by Candace this entire debate. Now, maybe you could say that we stalemated when it came to whether or not Robinson did it. She says, I found the evidence convincing, or unconvincing. Andrew says he found the evidence convincing. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you can't do too much about that, but there was nothing. She had nothing for Robinson being a Patsy, nothing for any of her conspiracies, not a zero, zilch. And she backed away on a bunch of them. This is the first time I think she's ever really backed away from the Twigs thing. First time I've heard her back away from the Erica thing, back away from TPUSA, being very cautious about making any of those claims now. Whereas on her show, much more likely to be making those claims. So she just had nothing the entire debate. Zero.
Candace.
Well, I think that is quite a conclusion. Admitting somewhere, maybe we stalemated. It probably signifies what I've been saying from the beginning, that you didn't feel that you were strong on the actual facts and the evidence, which I was willing to engage with you. I wanted to go over the screwdriver. I wanted to go over the towel, the things that you've mentioned, and you wanted to then move the conversation into a defense of Erica Kirk and her character, and what I've said about Erica, which is my opinion. And I have not edited that opinion after discussing with you. I would like to extend a compliment to you for being willing to sit down and to have the conversation. I still walk away feeling that the people who are jumping on the bandwagon about this case don't care about this case. They don't care about Erica Kirk. It tends to be follow that they take a meeting with Turning Point USA and they come out and suddenly have a lot of junk to say about Candace Owens. And I do want to also stress that Turning Point USA tried to pepper him with something as a surprise. He showed clips that were meant to be a surprise. I did no such thing. I stressed to PBD from the beginning that I was grateful he was taking this on and that I wanted this to be a clean debate because I believe I can win this on the merits. And I believe that I did win this fully on the merits by engaging the evidence of what has happened. I do still believe that there is more evidence which supports that there are more people involved and that Tyler Robinson has been set up, and that none of the evidence that was presented was in any way overwhelming, which is why I think you wanted to move to end that discussion quickly and to speak to me about France and to talk about this Panguitch receipt and my timeline. I want to remind people that a lot of the at-home investigators, which you were open to, as you called them, internet sleuths. I think it was on a show that you did right after Charlie was assassinated, that internet sleuths would solve this. This is the reason why Charlie, a year on, is still a conversation every single day trending on Twitter. I knew Charlie. I cared about Charlie. I care about finding out what the truth is here. My heart is in the right place. I think anybody who watches my show or even just watched this debate knows that if I get something wrong, I'll instantly correct it and own it. I'm not arrogant. I don't need to sit here and pretend that I didn't misspeak on the Lance thing. It hasn't been ruled out. But you saw that he just really wanted to hammer that point. You know, part of being a well-meaning person is to concede when you are wrong, to take something off a timeline when you know it's not right. And I would like to think that that is why I have earned the audience that continues to follow me, because they know my heart's in the right place, that I deeply cared about Charlie and I deeply care about the answers. I want to thank Andrew's team who are providing the fact checks. It's a very small room that they're in. I want to, as always, thank my team who worked really hard to make this happen and flip this set. And to you.
What is this, like an award show? I want to thank my team and for working in a really small room. And I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for being here. And like, what is this? Like,
PBD just for being a great moderator. I think very fair, letting us both speak and making sure that Andrew got out of this what he wanted, which is a little more than what I wanted. But I'm very content with how I dealt with this. And I trust, I don't need to convince the audiences with the magic trick of what they need to think about this debate. They can watch it and draw their own conclusions.
Beautiful. Fair from both of you. I think the audience won. And again, from the beginning, all of this is because of how much love and respect we have for Charlie Kirk, a great man that's no longer here with us.
yeah, so much love and respect. So much love and respect. That's what I feel like when I think about all the influencers, using his death to make tons and tons of money and attack his family and his legacy. And this is stuff his children are going to see one day. And I find it absolutely despicable. The absolute circus that has been orchestrated around the death of a great man whom I loved very much. And, it's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. But thank goodness this is over. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this debate. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time on The Eclectic Journalist.